Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Will County Board for December 19th, 2024. I'll call this meeting to order. Speaker Van Dyne will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, we are going to have Reverend Herb Brooks say the invocation. I'd like to also take this time for us to please remember our colleague Jeff Ronaldson and his family who lost his daughter this past week.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Madam Executive. In light of what she just shared with us, and also I'm asking you to remember the families at Madison, Wisconsin, if you would just take a moment of quiet and prayer to yourselves for a moment. Thank you. Lord, we thank you for another day that you have provided for us here in December of 2024. As we prepare to close out this year, we remember the Ronaldson family, state of Wisconsin, and what they're going through. And we just ask your blessing upon all of this board members, executive, the office, all of our employees of Will County and residents. Bless them with a Merry Christmas, a happy and a healthy New Year. In our Lord's name we pray. Amen. Thank you so much.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Richmond, Williams, Dean Schlattman, Ogala, Pretzel, Butler, Newquist, Balich, Brooks, Winfrey, Bullock, Logan, Freeman, Revis, Mitchell, Ortiz, Berkowitz, Hickey, Costa, Trainier, Van Dyne. We have 21.
21 present. We have a quorum. I need a motion to place on file the certificate of publication. Motion by Freeman, seconded by Costa. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Richmond, Williams, Dean Schlattman, Ogala, Pretzel, Butler, Newquist, Balich, Brooks, Winfrey, Bullock, Logan, Freeman, Revis, Mitchell, Ortiz, Berkowitz, Hickey, Costa, Trainier, Van Dyne.
21 in the affirmative, the motion carries. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the Will County Board meeting, the recess board meeting, November 21st, 2024? Motion by Winfrey, seconded by Freeman. Previous roll call by Ortiz, second by Hickey. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, will you please acknowledge the elected officials and media present today?
Oh, did you say media? Okay. All right, we have County Executive Jennifer Bertino Tarrant, County Clerk Annette Parker, Auditor Duffy Blackburn, Recorder of Deeds Karen Stucco. And then from the media, we have Daily Southtown Michelle Mullins.
Thank you. At this time, we'll move on to public comments. Do we have any public comments for today's agenda items? Any public comments for today's agenda items? Seeing none, We're going to move on to old business. Resolutions and ordinances from the October 17th, 2024 the November board meeting have been returned. Resolutions 24, 309, 314, and 316 have been returned unsigned. At this time, we are moving on to Speaker Van Dyne to fill a vacancy for County Board District 5.
Thank you, Madam Executive, and good morning to you and to everyone in attendance this morning. Resolution 24-321, appointment to fill vacancy in the County Board District Number 5. I would like to make a motion to bring David Oxley's name forward to this board for consideration, and I will like to make a comment after it's on the table.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Trenier. Discussion. County Board or Speaker Van Dyne, you're still on.
Thank you. Like I said in the past, I have had the opportunity to meet Mr. Oxley. I think will be a fantastic addition to this board. I did take the recommendation of the Republican Party to replace Annette Parker with Mr. Oxley, and I would like to also encourage our Democratic caucus and also the Republican caucus to agree with this appointment and vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Richmond. Williams. Dean Schlottman. Ogala. Pretzel. Butler. Newquist. Balich. Brooks. Winfrey. Bullock. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Hickey. Costa. Trenier. Van Dyne.
21 in the affirmative. Congratulations, Mr. Oxley. Move on to new. County Board member or leader, Richmond.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. And, it's good that the taxpayers, the citizens, the residents of Will County, especially District 5, have full representation. That's, I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Joe, for, pushing that forward in that. What I'd just like to ask is that we push this through. I think there's like a separate or an early set of things that get signed off on. If we could ask to have that signed off on so that this way he can be involved in everything that comes up over the course of in the beginning of January and that. So that's all I ask.
Thank you. All right, moving on to at this time, we're moving on to new business. Land Use and Development Committee, Pretzel Chair. Or Chair Pretzel. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I'd like to make a motion to open public hearing for all land use cases.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Dean Schlottman. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Richmond. Williams. Dean Schlottman. Ogala. Pretzel.
Yes.
Butler. Newquist. Balich. Brooks. Winfrey. Bullock. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Hickey. Costa. Trenier. Van Dyne.
With 21 in the affirmative, we are now in public hearing. Please be advised, absolutely no evidence or information will be allowed once this land use public hearing is closed. So if we have anyone here from the public who would like to speak on one of the cases before us, this is the time to come now. Do we have anyone here interested in speaking on any of our land use cases?
Motion to close public hearing?
Motion to close public hearing by Chair Pretzel, seconded by Mitchell. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Richmond. Williams. Dean Schlottman. O'Gala. Pretzel.
Yes.
Butler. Newquist. Balich. Brooks. Winfrey. Bullock. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Excuse me. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Hickey. Costa. Trainier. Van Dyne.
21 in the affirmative, public hearing is now closed. Gosh, I'm really having a time with you today, Mr. Pretzel. Chair Pretzel.
On the struggle bus.
Yeah,
First up on the agenda today, ordinance amending the Will County, Illinois zoning ordinance as amended for zoning case ZC 24076, Midwest Capital Investments LLC, owner of record Rigoberto Gonzalez, agent requesting a special use permit for ancillary liquor license and a variance for a minimum street setback from 30 feet to 28.11 feet. This is in Jackson Township, commonly known as 23956 South Route 53, Elwood, Illinois, County Board District Number 2. And I so move.
motion by Pretzel, seconded by Newquist. Any discussion? Is there a previous? Previous by Winfrey, seconded by Hickey. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 2, ordinance amending the Will County, Illinois zoning ordinance as amended for zoning case ZC 24074, Victor H. Lul Huerta, owner of record, requesting a map amendment from R4 to C3, a variance for lot area from 10,919 square feet to 12,000 square feet, a variance for distance from right-of-way of a dedicated street from 100 feet to 15 feet, a variance for distance from right-of-way of a dedicated street from 100 feet to 45 feet, a variance for fence height within street setback from 4 feet to 7 feet, a variance for fence height within street setback from 4 feet to 6 feet. This is in Lockport Township, commonly known as 3300 State Street, Lockport, Illinois, County Board District Number 5, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Dean Schlottman. Any discussion? Is there a previous? Previous by Brooks, seconded by Balich. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 3, ordinance amending the Will County, Illinois zoning ordinance as amended for zoning case ZC 24067, Jackson Creek Fellowship Church, owner of record John Young and Clint Ifland, Bill Hallahan of Absolute Advertising Agent. They're requesting a special use permit for a dynamic digital display, a variance for the dynamic display portion of sign from 50% to 63% of the total area of a sign, a variance for the minimum setback of a dynamic display sign face from a residential structure from 300 feet to 170 feet, a variance for minimum setback from a street right-of-way for a freestanding sign from 10 feet to 2 feet, a variance for maximum height of a freestanding sign in a residential zoning district from 8 feet to 11 feet. This one's in Green Garden Township, commonly known as 25800 South Center Road, Moni, Illinois, County Board District Number 3, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Trinier. Any discussion? Previous roll call by Freeman, seconded by Logan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next, we have Land Use and Development Committee resolutions. First on the agenda, 24-322. This is a scrivener's error correcting zoning case 24046, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Trinier. Previous roll call by Costa, seconded by Hickey. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Last, we have another scrivener's error, 24-323, scrivener's error correcting zoning case 24-045, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Costa. Previous roll call by Winfrey, seconded by Trinier. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Executive. The next Land Use and Development Committee meeting is scheduled for Thursday, January 2nd, 2025. Please make note, we've moved to Thursday.
Thank you. Moving on to Finance Committee Chair Newquist.
Good morning, everybody. We only have one resolution to bring forward today, 24-324. authorizing county executive to execute necessary documents for delinquent tax program, and I so move.
Motion by Newquist, seconded by Freeman. Previous roll call by Winfrey, seconded by Trinier. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to welcome. We're gonna welcome the new chief of staff for for the county board. There, Chuck Pelkey. It's a slippery, it's a slippery, sorry. Moving on, Chair Trinier, Public Works and Transportation Committee.
Good morning, Madam Executive. This is the first time we're using this, but items 1 through 14 have been agreed to in Executive Committee by everyone voting yes. So I move that we approve item 1 through 14 as a consent agenda item unless there is some.
Yeah, yes, I know, I think we're gonna have some, I just want to find out the proper format. If
So
you have
do
to
I.
take a vote and then amend it, or we can just have them pull it out.
Do we need a second first?
Trying to figure out.
Oh, it was there, but it's gone now. Oh, it's back.
Okay. A consent agenda requires a unanimous consent. So if there is one member of the board
Right.
that does not agree to an item, their simple vocalization of that disagreement is all that's necessary to pull it off the consent agenda. You do not need a vote.
That makes it nice and easier. Okay, County Board Member, County Board Member Ballage.
I would like to remove from the consent agenda items number 7 and 8.
7, 8. All right. So then Jackie, you would make the motion.
I don't even think I have to make a motion. Those are just off, right?
I don't know where that one's at.
Correct. Those are just off.
Okay.
You've made so the motion is on the floor to consent to approve the consent agenda.
Items 1 through 14, removing items 7 and 8, and I so move.
Okay, so do you have a question regarding the process first? Or should we get them? Okay, so we have a motion by Trinier, seconded by Hickey. Discussion.
7 and 8 right now. On the consent.
No, we're not voting on that. It's removed.
So
Oh, okay.
if anyone else wants to remove any items, you need to speak before the consent agenda is approved.
So
Okay?
so
So
right now,
now is the
Right
time.
now,
so do you have so we have 7 and 8 that is removed. So we have a motion right
Yes,
there.
I would like to remove a couple too, so.
Oh, okay, well, let's do it. Let's do it now before, go ahead. Why don't you tell which ones?
All right, thank you. So I have a comment too. With consent agendas, I can agree with those that are common, that are, very conclusive to each other. The first 6 are all countywide projects we do every year. The highway, our director of transportation, Jeff, and them always do this so we can get all the materials we need for the entire year. So that makes sense to me. Steve removed 7, 8. I would also like to remove 9 through 14. We have new members here. I think it's good to have those discussions, and they are not unique. They're all unique to each other. So I think I'd like to remove 9 through 14 as well.
Okay, very good. So we have a
I'll
motion.
restate the
Okay,
motion.
and it's fine, because we're gonna have in the consent agenda numbers 1 through 6. We have a motion, we have a second. Do you have a comment on that as well? Or County Board Member Brooks?
I just want an understanding of the, just clarification.
Yeah.
This consent is new and I'm new. So what happens now? Do they go back to the committee and you rediscuss? If they're
no.
on, what happens? Separate?
So are you referring to
No,
those? Oh,
He
I
wants
just
to
want to make
understand.
sure I understand your question. When you're asking about whether something goes back to committee, are you talking about those items that were removed from the consent agenda? No, they do not. It's just they will be voted on by the county board each individually. So instead of having an omnibus vote where you take one vote to approve all of them, you will take one vote to approve 1 through 6, and then you will address each of the subsequent items individually as you always have. They're
Yep.
still on the agenda.
All right. So we have a motion and a second to consent to numbers 1 to 6. Is there a previous roll call?
Previous O'Gara.
Previous O'Gala, seconded by Richmond. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Chair Trinier. Now we're back on number
Okay.
7.
Number 7, 24-331, authorizing approval of supplemental professional services agreement for design engineering services Phase 2 with Terra Engineering Limited on West River Road, County Highway 26, from Coal City Road North to Illinois Route 53, Section 20-00174-06-PV, County Board District 1, and I so move.
Motion by Trinier, seconded by Freeman. Discussion, County Board Member Ballage.
Yeah, the reason I'm against 7 and 8, so we won't have to discuss it in number 8, is that that road, if we approve this stuff, we're going along with the concept of being a freeway, and they can take 15 more feet on each side of the road. That means that the private businesses that are there will have to give up 15 feet of their land for free to our road district. And I don't think that's a good idea. You know, and anyone that does, God bless you, but I don't want people taking my stuff and not paying me for it.
County Board Member O'Gala. Do you have it?
Thank you. I see that Brian is here today. I was wondering if he could help give me a little more familiarity as to what are we looking at here for both 7 and 8, and when they expect the project to start, and what the extent of it is.
Good morning, folks. I'm Brian Gieske. I'm the Assistant County Engineer at Will County DOT. So looking at items 7 and 8, those are for supplemental professional engineering services with Terra Engineering. Terra is a consultant company that's working with the county on Phase 2 services. Phase 2 is our design stage. So this is for additional monies to pay our consultant engineer for design of the project. It's not directly related to anything about land acquisition or obtaining property. So number 7 is the actual agreement for the supplement, and then 8 would be the funding because we're using motor fuel tax. That'd be the funding for that supplement.
And so the design would include, do you know what you're looking at?
The design would be for the roadway and anything needed to improve the roadway.
So it could include turn lanes, things like that. Is that what we're looking at?
The basic design for West River Road, only from Coal City up to Route 53, is still keeping 1 lane in each direction and adding a turn lane, I believe up in the northern parts that does have where the businesses are in Wilmington.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay?
Thank you.
And it wouldn't leave yet, Brian. I think you're going to have another question here. County Board Member Ballage.
So what you're saying is that the design is not going to include taking an extra 15 feet of land from anybody?
So design is for paying people to come up with the plans. Land acquisition is a separate process.
Well, that's what I'm asking, because if it's including the 15 feet on each side, I'm not in favor of it. That's all I wanted to ask you. Does design include the 15 feet? I'm not trying to give you a hard time. I just got to know how I can vote.
There is additional land that's needed for the project.
Sorry, I'm going to have to vote no.
Can Brian, anyone else have questions for Brian? You do, okay, County, our Chair, Speaker.
Something. There was a statement made that the government takes property from homeowners, businesses, et cetera. I just want a clarification. It's my belief that the county never does take property from anyone. They always purchase it. Is this true?
We do use fair market value and come up with we negotiate a price with the owners, and then those owners are paid fair market value. That's our standard procedure.
County Board, I'll come back. County Board member, no. Okay, does anyone else have a question for, you have another one, Mr. Belich? Okay.
Yeah, when you said that they don't take any land without eminent domain or quick take, what about all these properties that come before us and talk about donations? That in order to get a driveway put in, and I remember 2 cases, they had to donate a whole bunch of their land to put a driveway, donate a bunch of their land. So what you just said is partially true, not totally true. So donations are when you tell them if they want something, they have to give you their land. And that's happened twice that I remember. There's probably a lot more than that.
I don't know the specifics in front of this group about your question, but there are occasions we have a permit process, and that might imply a donation or an improvement that has to be done paid by the property owner, but this is designed for a highway improvement. So, but also in regards to fair market value and possible donations, I mean, if the agreement is that the property might have 0 value, then the transaction could happen without any financial change.
County Board member Berkowitz.
Thank you. So I'm taking a look at the contract here, and I've got a question. On page 3, items 4 and 5, there's an ability to indicate a percentage, a numerical percentage of a fee. That is left blank in both paragraphs 4 and 5. I'm not comfortable with that. I would like a 0 put in there before it's, signed.
He does it, I'm going to interrupt because Brian doesn't do the contracts. So if you want to make an amendment to something when we go and vote, that
It wouldn't be an amendment. What I'm talking about is the contract that's presented. So who is the individual? Like, let's see, what signature is on here? Senior
Certainly not mine.
project manager. Who's senior project manager? Looks like it
So
begins
it's
with-
possible that's a name that's at Terra Engineering. We don't have any titles called
So-
senior project manager.
Either Tara or somebody at the county. What I'm requesting is that we indicate that in pair numbers 4 and 5, that fee is 0%. If not, what is it?
Okay.
And that's, I would like that addressed. Thank you.
Okay. Julie, I don't have it in front of me, so I can't see what you're referring to, but I'm sure that if the consultant in our office would want to make sure there's a number there, we can do that.
Sure, and I'll tell you on the agenda that's item B, the agreement, CH 26, I'm not sure what, County Highway 26?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that.
Member Butler.
So I just unclear about the process. So have this land, it looks like a lot of farmland or at least commercial land, and then there's a small amount of residential as you go to the north. So have we done have we reached out to all the people? Do they know this project's coming? Like, where in that process are we?
So the design of this particular project, and I'm just basing this only on the section number. It starts with a 20. That means the design was started in 2020. So I know that there's a new procedure you guys are asking about for sending out notifications. I sure would hope that this project was much older than that request. So I don't guarantee that that happened on this project, but
Do the landowners know that there's a project coming?
once we pass our resolution for confirming an award to a construction company, I would hope that's out there.
We're going to, I'm going to pass it quickly over to Assistant State's Attorney Dedro.
Brian, I think State's Attorney's Office is already going forward with eminent domain cases on this project, are we not? Or is this a different leg of the project on West River Road? Because I think we've done property up at the corner of 53 and West River Road. We've been working on that for some time, and I think we have acquired most of the parcels. Or is this a different project?
Okay, so Mary, I'm not the project manager for this exact project, so I understand your question. I just don't know how property was acquired or whether it was eminent domain or not. What I do know is the project is ready to be built, and we actually had a project letting yesterday at our office.
Yep.
And
So, Mr. Butler, the answer to your question, I think that all the property owners are aware. I think negotiations have gone on, and those that they were not able to negotiate acquisition with, the State's Attorney's Office has already filed eminent domain cases and has resolved most, if not all of them. So this is, I think, supplemental engineering that needs to occur. Am I misunderstanding, Mr. Geisky? Because maybe I am.
negotiations are the first attempt for obtaining property. And if that breaks down, then we move into other ideas, which does include eminent domain.
You have a discussion, I have more clarification. I'm gonna let, oh, okay, go ahead. Hold on, please. I'm gonna get you on. I can't, there you go.
So I hear from the project manager that it.
He's not the project
or
manager,
For,
yeah.
who's speaking for the project.
No, let's make
Okay.
it clear. This is, yeah, he's here because Jeff
Exactly.
cannot be
Please
here
understand
today.
that.
The person
he's-
we're directing our
yeah.
questions to about
yeah.
inquiries into this is unclear as to whether or not the people have been notified. The state's attorney thinks that they've been notified, but she's unclear. So that question is not answered yet. Am I correct?
I cannot definitively answer that question.
Thank you.
All right, do we have anything else? Okay, so we're all going back, you guys have spoken 2 times. This is going to be it for the people who are going 2 times now. So County Board Member Berkowitz. Hold on. There you go.
Thank you, Jennifer. And this is kind of a fluid process. Information, questions arise, and I would hope that we be allowed to understand the project before we vote on it. So.
Well, why don't you
thank
answer the question?
for-
Let's move on. I don't need to be
Okay.
scolded. Your
No, I'm
rules say
not
too, so.
scolding you. I'm
We,
just,
please answer,
Jennifer,
please answer the
you're
question.
not letting me speak.
Okay, please reference your comments to, so we can get some clarification so we can move on.
I certainly will.
Thank you.
Thank you. So along the project route, there's multiple parcels. Does the DOT have signage along that route with the zoning case and the information regarding the project? Have those been placed along the project boundaries?
There is no signing out there that's been installed of any kind.
Nothing to indicate that there's a zoning case and the project is moving forward.
I didn't think our highway projects were subject to zoning matters.
They're not subject to putting signage out or,
No.
well, everybody's answering the question, but I just want
Okay.
our staff member to answer the question, please.
Okay, specific to zoning signage, there is none out there.
So I know we have land use cases, and I've complained about many in my district where, they put a chloroplast sign, a little sign in there that falls over. And we're expected to see that for each zoning case that comes forward. And you're saying this type of a project, because I've seen Will County signs when I'm on county highways. So why wouldn't this project have that type of signage?
Are you referring to our green and white, your textiles or work signs? Is that what you're referring
Well,
to?
they say more than tax dollars at work. They say this project is zoning case. You have none of those out there.
You keep using the word zoning case and we
Okay,
don't.
this project, and then it would have the number 24-331. Because that's assigned to this project. Or resolution. So you're indicating that there's no signage, county signage regarding this project at all?
As of today, there is no signage on West River Road regarding this project.
Is there a reason why?
Because advanced roadwork signs, like you see road construction ahead, one lane road ahead, flagger ahead, things like that, those are responsibility of the contractor put up, and we don't have a contractor on board yet. So that'll be his job once the job gets underway, which I would estimate is in the spring of 2025.
So in with the attempt to be transparent to our taxpayers and our residents, it's my suggestion that at the appropriate committee, or I'm not sure where the process would lie, that we put this in county rules, if it's within the DOT, that when we have a pending project like this, that we know is going to have impact to the neighbors, to the businesses, the property owners, and the taxpayer. We know the project, it's in motion. We should have signage there to announce this and make it obvious to everybody who's passing by. Because I've said this in committee meetings, it isn't mail that wakes people up and tells them what gets them to act when there's construction or a project. In my district, it's always been signage. People see signage. They may toss their mail in the garbage or the recycling bin, but signage gets the message out. So my question is where do we begin to put that in our process?
So there will be signage. It'll have black letters on orange backgrounds, and you'll see them up and down West River at some point in the spring.
So I would like the county to take the initiative to do it at an earlier date because it's in our plan, it's part of our plan. And so I'd like to have that conversation. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to go back to Assistant State's Attorney Tatro quickly. Oh, sorry, I turned you off. And then we have new people speaking, and then I'll go back to people who've already spoken.
Okay, following up on Mr. Butler's question, I've looked more closely at the resolution. So similar to Mr. Geisky, I don't personally review these. I have other ASAs who do. However, I'm very familiar with this project because they report to me. And going through the documents more carefully, this is the project that we have already filed for eminent domain. So the property owners whose land is being taken have already been contacted by negotiators. Those that were able to be resolved without going to litigation have been resolved. And in fact, eminent domain cases have been filed, and this is in the final stages of the construction project. And if you look at one of the attachments from the engineering firm under plats and legals, it indicates that one of the duties they will be performing is with regard to 4 parcels where revisions are needed after negotiations with the property owners. So this is in the final stages, and I am very confident that the property owners are in fact aware of this project.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to move on to County Board Member Richmond and then Newquist.
Thank you. And just for clarification for everybody who may be listening outside of here, that this is a little bit of a unique meeting is the fact that we didn't have a regular Public Works meeting. Usually, I've sat in for 2 years on Public Works meetings. Jeff has always come and answered all of our questions and been very diligent at that. We've got a couple challenges today. We didn't have that meeting, and Brian got thrown up here, unfortunately, for the situation that's at hand. So I think that everything is, we're just kind of trying to work through this, and then on top of that, it's a consent agenda, which I think the consent agenda is a good idea. And Brian, thank you for doing the best in filling in and answering those questions. But I think what everybody needs to realize is in January, we're going to go back to, we're already reorganized. We'll go back to our regular committee meetings, and all these things will be able to be answered and addressed. And you can get clarification either through your whip or other members on the board or whatever. So I think we can kind of move these things along a little bit easier in January. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you. County Board Member Newquist.
Thank you. I just want to clarify, I'm a little confused based on Member Berkowitz's questions. There are no zoning changes associated with this project, correct?
We don't get involved in zoning
Right.
issues because we
So-
have highway right of way and
Exactly. So the type of signage that we normally use for zoning changes wouldn't be required here. So, and this is basically just it's a supplemental engineering document to further address the next steps of the project, correct?
so at some point prior to today, I'm assuming there was an original agreement.
Mhm.
I don't have that in front of me. I don't know that resolution number, but by the phrase supplemental, I'm pretty sure there was an original at some point.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you. We're going to go Mr. Butler and then Speaker Van Dyne.
I do not have a question.
Okay.
I was just speaking general discussion. Is that all right?
That's fine. So does anyone else have a question for Mr. Geske? You can sit down. Thank you for your help. Thank you.
So my concern in any case like this is, simply we are not a democratic government. Our constitution is not democratic. It's a constitutional republic. And the main difference is it's not majority rules, it's protect the individual rights. That is what's different about a constitutional republic, okay? And one of those rights we know is our civil rights. And the biggest one of our civil rights is property ownership. So whenever these cases come up for quick take, I'm always going to be against it. I want to know if the people know about it. If the government wants to, negotiate with them with eminent domain and they can come to terms, I'm fine with it. But I'm always going to be opposed to it. So this is one of those incidents where they're spending a lot of money before we're sure the people are going to be all good with it. And we just don't want to see money being spent with an agreement, and then, allocating tax money to this project without knowing if we're going to have a 143rd Street incident where people are going to be all up in arms. So that's my concern about any of these cases.
I'm really tempted to debate here with you, Mr. Butler. We'll do it on the side, though, because the constitutional republic also elects its member to represent themselves. So I think, too, if these are concerns, these cases, go start talking to your neighbors as well. So I appreciate what you're saying. I agree. Speaker Van Dyne.
I just wanted to address the concern that I do know for a fact that this project was approved whenever Mr. Geske said 2020 or whatnot. It did go through Public Works. I do know for a fact that the city of Wilmington and the mayor of Wilmington also know about this project for the last couple of years. The residents that live along the county highway have all been approached properly the way the Will County DOT is supposed to proceed. The residents have known about this. I can verify that. I've been contacted by the residents years ago. So just to clear up any of that confusion. And, this is the second phase. There's 3 phases to every project. Phase 1 has already been complete. We're on the second phase for re-engineering, and then phase 3 comes construction, which they have already started moving telephone poles out of the way of the right of way. There's last down for ComEd's trucks to come, and also there has been locates done, so they're well aware. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a first and a second. We're going to move on to a roll call vote. Madam Clerk.
Richmond. Williams. Dean Schlottman. O'Gala. Pretzel. Butler. Newquist. Balich.
No.
Brooks. Winfrey. Bullock. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Hickey. Costa. Trainier.
Yes.
Van Dyne.
Yes.
20 in the affirmative, the motion carries. Chair Trinier, number 8.
Number 8, 24-332, authorizing the appropriation of motor fuel tax funds, $102,870,000 for supplemental professional design engineering services, Phase 2 by county under the Illinois Highway Code for West River Road, County Highway 26, from Coal City Road North to Illinois Route 53, Section 20-00174-06-PV, County Board District Number 1, and I so move.
Motion by Trinier, seconded by Hickey. Previous roll call by Van Dyne, seconded by Dean Schlottman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 9, 24-333, authorizing an agreement between the County of Will and Northern Illinois Gas Company, DBA Nicor Gas Company, for reimbursement for relocating facilities for the improvements of Gauger Road, County Highway 52, over the CN Railroad, County Board District Number 2, and I so move.
Motion by Trinier, seconded by Berkowitz. Member Ogalla.
Thank you. I know Brian is still down there. So Brian, some of what I'm asking today is simply, we have new board members. This is the first time something like this is coming up. If we get the conversation out, it'll be done today. So if you could just let us know why there would be a reimbursement to Nicor Gas for relocating their facilities.
Once again, Brian Gieske, Assistant County Engineer, Will County DOT. So whenever utility companies, especially private utility companies, have underlying rights in their easements, and then we come through and impact their property, that generates a reimbursable agreement.
And so is the reimbursement cost the amount that it will take them to relocate those lines from this location to another one?
That's what the fee would be for, is for the company, the utility company, to relocate their line, yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Right, seeing no more discussion, we can go through roll call, or Mr. Balich, you'll vote yes. So we're going to go with, is there a previous roll call? Previous roll call by Winfrey, seconded by Brooks, with Mr. Balich in favor. Thank you.
Aye.
Oh, all those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 10, 24-334, authorizing approval of professional services supplemental agreement for right-of-way acquisition services negotiations with Hanson's Professional Services, Inc. for several parcels of property for the Laraway Road, County Highway 74 and US Route 52 intersection improvements, County Board Districts Number 2 and Number 6, and I so move.
Motion by Trinier, seconded by Winfrey. Chair Ogalla. Member Ogalla.
It takes time, believe me. I feel odd sitting on this side of the desk, so. Brian, I'm just going to ask questions here real quick. So one thing I know is when we do road projects and it requires additional properties, we go ahead and we contact all the landowners and say we need an additional 5, 10 feet, whatever it is. And we make an offer to them. And a lot of times people are just like, yes, they'll agree. When they don't agree, then we use acquisition services for eminent domain. So in this situation, would we have already done the whole process and offered to people and paid some people? And this is the process that we're going to go through for eminent domain? And if so, how many parcels?
So Judy, I don't have any of the documents actually in front of me, but just in some chit chat with our project manager, I do believe that number 10 here is because there was a change in ownership of a one parcel.
Oh,
And so we had to go back and renegotiate with a new owner.
okay,
I'm pretty sure that's the story here.
okay.
But everything else you said is also correct. That's our usual
Process.
procedure.
Right, okay.
But I think this one came up kind of last minute because one of the parcels changed hands.
Okay, thank you.
Start over.
Member Balich.
Yeah, I'm good with it, but I'd like to hear from the county board members in that district because I think it's important for us to know what they think. You know, I don't see a problem, but maybe they have a problem. They live there, so they should be giving us information what to do.
Member Winfrey. It's fine. So we have a motion, we have a second. Is there a previous? Previous by Ogala, second by D. Plotman, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, lost my place with all this talk. Number 11, 24-335, authorizing approval of professional service agreement for supplemental design engineering services, Phase 2 with Christopher B. Burke Engineering on 135th Street, County Highway 35, from 1,200 feet east of Smith Road to Emily Lane in County Board District 9, and I so move.
Motion by Trinier, seconded by Freeman. Oh, hold on a minute, Chair. Member Ogala?
That's okay. So again, Brian, I just want to clarify this. So this is a portion of the road just from Smith to Emily, and what are we doing here?
So I certainly hope most of you noticed that that road was improved last couple of years. It's now a 5-lane highway. All construction's done. What this is to have this Christopher Burke Company is going to redraw a couple of maps for the benefit of one of the state agencies. Again, I'm not 100% clear, but this is a task that is going to be done after all construction, or because all construction's done.
Oh, okay. I
So-
just don't remember. I don't remember something like this before, so.
You probably don't. It's not something we normally have to do, but I just want to emphasize the road's done. I hope you guys noticed
Road is
it.
done. It's just a requirement from the state. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
So we have a motion, a second. Is there a previous? Previous by
Second,
Newquist,
Ogala.
seconded by Gala. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item 12, 24-336, authorizing approval of supplemental professional service agreement for design engineering services, Phase 2, with EXP US Services, Inc. on Bell Road, County Highway 16, from the 151st Street North to Martindale Lane, Section 19-00147-14-FP, County Board District Number 4, and I so move.
Motion by Trinier, seconded by Freeman. Any discussion? Previous roll call by Winfrey, seconded by Hickey. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, motion carries.
Number 13, 24-337, granting ingress and egress for a new business on Manhattan Moni Road, County Highway 6, County Board District Number 3, and I so move.
Motion by Trinier, seconded by Newquist. Member Ogala.
Thank you. So this is not for Brian. This is just a comment to be made. So I know the people in Moni area are very excited about this new business coming because we don't have a lot of businesses out in Moni that are like places to go and purchase things. We have gas stations and things like that, restaurants, but this is Tractor Supply and everybody is pretty excited about that and has been for a long time. So thank you.
Previous roll call by Mitchell, seconded by Brooks. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 14, 24-338, intergovernmental agreement for improvements at the intersection of Cedar Road, County Highway 4, and Francis Road, County Highway 64, County Board District Number 5, and I so move.
Motion by Trinier, seconded by Freeman. Previous roll call by Winfrey, seconded by Hickey. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And that is the end of my report. Our committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, January 7th. See you there.
Thank you. Moving on to Public Health and Safety Committee, Chair Butler.
Well, I have nothing to report except that our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, January 2nd.
Thank you. Legislative Committee, Chair Ortiz.
Thank you, Madam Executive. At this point, we have nothing to bring forward, but our next meeting is going to be scheduled for Tuesday, January 7th, 2025.
Thank you. Chair Freeman, Capital Improvement Committee.
I also have nothing to bring forward. Our next Capital Improvements Committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, January 7th.
Landfill Committee, Chair Dean Schlottman.
Good morning, Madam Executive. I have nothing to bring forward at this time. Our next committee meeting will be Tuesday, January 14th.
Thank you. Speaker Van Dyne, Executive Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning again.
morning.
I would like to make a motion to remove items number 1 and number 2 from the Executive Committee. I believe that with the approval in Executive Committee last week, that these 2 items do not need to come forward.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Pretzel. Previous roll call by Winfrey, seconded by O'Gala. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 24-339, intergovernmental agreement for paratransit service, and I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Trinier. I think wishful thinking there.
When we're,
Member Butler.
oh, thought you called me. Do I look like him?
I am like, I'm not on my game today. Member, no, I'm not inviting. You know, Member Ballage.
Okay. I'm not liking what I'm seeing here about Accessville County, paratransit service, all that, because I read everything about it, and I see that there's grant money that's coming in to pay for the stuff. But the problem is when the grant money runs out, which I was told by Elaine that it's not going to run out because it's secured. But how many times have we sat in a board meeting where the grant money that was secured stopped? And then so we would have to tell all the people that are depending on that new service that they got to either pay more or they're going to pay property taxes to cover the difference. So I don't like anything to do with this stuff. So I just want to make that clear. Why? Because it's basically an opportunity for big tax increase. And we're not going to be prepared for it because when they cut the money off, they just cut it off like snapping their fingers. And then what do? We've had that with the health department in the past, if everybody remembers. You know, so I don't trust that the program is going to be sustainable without a tax increase.
Thank you. Member O'Gala.
Thank you. So there's a long history here regarding the paratransit service. And for some of the new members and Mr. Brooks, who's joined us again, I just wanted to put some information forward. So a long time ago, there was a transportation service in Eastern Will County through Senior Services. That changed and came to the county here, and we had a mobility manager, Wendy Garlish, who worked here for a number of years and was handling this process. And then things changed, and we got Elaine, and now we have Colin, right? Yep. And so that's a change. What also happened was it was just Eastern Will County was part of it. Other portions of the county had their own transportation services. At one time, the southwest portion had services, then they found that they didn't need them. They weren't worth it, no one was really using them, so they didn't partake in it. Then in '23, we had a presentation. We got a $200,000 loan for a study for this, and Elaine gave us a PowerPoint presentation and a 195-page or so book. We were given that at a meeting. We were asked to support the recommendations in the book. So at that time, we didn't want to go ahead and just because we just were shown it, we waited a bit of time to look at it. So what has always happened is that the townships have been responsible for a portion of their ride service, okay? And one of the things that the county executive wanted to do was to go ahead and have the county pay for those. So at one point in time, then we had a different resolution where the county board would go ahead and set the policy and procedures. And that didn't happen. But in this transportation thing, the county executive is using tax dollars to pay for the rides for the people who are part of this transit service in Will County. So that was never approved upon or agreed upon at the county. This is something the county executive has just moved forward with. We looked at the resolution like in late '23 when it came, there were no changes to it. And we never had a conversation with the executive's office that a change was coming, that the county would then pay for part of the ride. I think that we need to look at this and make the decision as to how much we will continue to pay. I know it's gone up from an amount from a prior year to this year. It's gone up in the amount that we'll be spending. And I would think that would just continue to increase. My concern is the full blown out plan, which we'll have in number 4, has the potential to have ride service for everyone. Not everyone was here, but if you did attend the committee of the whole, you saw where we had PACE, Metra, and RTA here. And they talked about, having a fiscal cliff in '26 because the federal dollars are going to be running out. So they're concerned. And as long as I've been on the board, they've always been operating in the red. They get a point that they're operating red because ride services are always subsidized. My concern is that we get too involved in this to too deep of a point. How much do we want to take taxpayer dollars and pay for these rides? Because other townships are paying for their rides. And I do believe that the township should have some responsibility in paying for the rides, that they shouldn't just be able to ride for free. That the residents pays and the county should not have, maybe supplement, but not supplement the full amount that the township is due. So that is an issue that I have with this resolution and the agreement, rather, not the resolution.
Thank you. Leader Richmond.
Yeah, so I can agree with everything that my colleagues said. And one of the challenges that we have as government is scope creep with programs and that, where it looks good and then we find out years later that it's costing us an arm and a leg. There's times the government does things better than the private sector, but then there's times that the private sector does things very well too. I'm not against any of these programs that help out our seniors or, people who are have special needs or that. But what we got to look at is, if you look at the way transportation was 30 years ago, you had taxis and that. Now you've got Uber, you've got all these apps on your phone that you can get to and from places. And one of the things I want to be careful of is, it was mentioned, they're $750 million in the hole in 2026. I mean, are we going to have to start funding some of these transportation projects and programs? Many times I see these buses, they're empty in that. So anything we can do as elected officials, we need to look at, address them, have, some very tough conversations and understand what it's going to cost the residents and what it's going to cost the residents in the future. Because I think we're looking at going from 270 to 300 and some thousand, and we started out at only a 200,000 or that just 2 years ago. So, I mean, we're actually like at a 50% increase or that over the past couple of years. Also too, is when we get these resolutions, the first page, it reads the exact same thing year over year. But when you start to dig into these, because I had a couple of them, and I look in there and we don't have any redlining or that. So you kind of have to read it word for word. And what I've found out too is that sometimes things are even moved from the different headers and that. So now you're trying to hunt and peck and figure out where things have been moved and what's been said and what was said before and all that kind of stuff. And what I would like to encourage us to do is whenever there's a change in a document, that it be redlined. And just like what Phil Mock did with all of our other stuff is, give us a detailed indication of what's been changed, where it's been moved to, so that this way, I don't know about anybody else on this board, but I mean, a lot of us have other things to do besides work and family and stuff like that. And I'd like to make it easier for everybody to be able to understand what we're voting on, as well as for the residents to understand when they pick up the document, they could say, oh, this is where the changes have been made. So I would like to see us do that in the future. I don't know what the mechanisms is to make that happen. but I would encourage us to do that as a governing body. So that's all I have.
Thank you, County Board Member Hickey.
Thank you, County Executive. I want to be clear, what we're voting on here is the intergovernmental agreement for the paratransit service, correct? Okay. I'm hearing a lot of conflating of a lot of ideas here, and there's a lot of talk about funding and control. Bottom line is, folks, this is one of the most vulnerable populations in our county. And if you have ever had to try to find a ride when you need to get to work, you need to get to the doctor, you need to get to the courthouse, it's very difficult to make sure that that's available. I hear you talking about 30 years ago transportation. Yes, things have changed. But the bottom line is that independent transportation is transformative for people. It is something that we as a county should be happy to provide. And I just don't understand all of this discussion about this. This needs to be approved. This is what we are here for. Thank you.
County Board Member Berkowitz, then Butler. Hold on, you're not on yet. I'm trying.
Thank you. So on the agreement, I have a question regarding section 3.0 funding. Items A and B, how did we come to those numbers? Costs to the county? I want an answer.
All right, hello, Elaine Bottomley, Deputy Chief of Staff for the Will County Executive's Office. Member Berkowitz, your question about the funding and how those numbers appeared in here, and I know that there's been some conversations about how it is a higher number than what's been in the past. When we negotiate this contract with PACE and come forward to offer dial-a-ride services for seniors, which is 60 plus, and residents with disabilities, PACE puts together most of the boilerplate language. For the most part, it's the same year over year. The numbers are backed in based off of the ridership that we've seen, as well as the dollar amount that PACE is allocating to us as a sub-grant. So the numbers are kind of backed in that way. I have not seen the exact math, but that is my understanding of what the numbers are.
Thank you for your response. However, we heard in the committee of the whole that their costs continue to increase. That would be tangible costs, fuel, mechanics, equipment. So that gives me pause that these numbers are not truly reflective of the actual costs to the county. That's a big concern because our budget, we've approved our budget this year, and this will just continue to build on that. So I don't have a lot of confidence in these numbers, and to me, they're very shocking. That's a substantial amount of money, especially if it turns out that, you know, that's not the true cost. Then for item B, where are the call centers located that are reflected? Because that information isn't provided to us.
Member Berkowitz, just a clarification question. You're asking where the physical location is of the call centers that PACE operates?
Item B, it refers to Will County Mobility Management Call Care Centers, and I'm asking for those locations.
I believe that all of the call center locations are up where their main offices are in Arlington Heights.
It says Will County Mobility Management Call Center.
So then that would be.
So that would be none of ours.
I'm sorry, Member Berkowitz, I'm a little confused by your question. So we have our mobility manager, Colin Phillips, who answers the phone and handles day-to-day questions and assists residents, seniors, residents with disabilities get registered, find dial-a-rides, not just for our program, all program. But if you're discussing how does a resident go ahead and schedule a ride?
I'm asking what role, and if there are call centers or will the county of Will, not Pace, do we have any call centers or employees to perform that function? Is it a township function? Does the county executive have any staff? Would it be you? Do you manage a call center? With the county government, do we have any of that service provided by county government?
The county itself is not providing call center services for the dial-a-ride. That's part of what this IGA covers.
So who is?
Stating that PACE,
And I'm asking who is?
that PACE, the entity we're trying to enter into this IGA with, that PACE provides the call center. So PACE provides the back-end support of the call center staff. They provide the buses, they provide all of that, which is outlined within the IGA.
And the town, there's none of this happening at the township. None of our townships located within Will County have their own personal senior ride program.
Elaine, I think, and I'm not trying to, but I think she's trying to understand, like, if someone calls here for a ride, what's the process? Is that what you're?
No.
So are you asking if we have an employee who will answer calls here? So if,
The county.
the county has,
Okay.
Colin is the person who will answer calls here all day long for people who are looking for rides. Now, some of them are within our current agreement that he can help with directly, and he works with PACE. He'll call PACE and he helps them. Some of them, they're not within, and he will help these folks, direct them where they can. So yes, we have an employee here who works with PACE for this service. And that's what I think you're asking me.
That
Okay.
is, thank you. So when you move forward to item 3.4, it indicates that PACE submits invoices to the county for services rendered. And this is just very, very vague. What is the cost to this? This is work performed, and the rates are agreed to in contracts with carriers and mobility management call center service contractors. We don't have any of that information. What are those rates? What is the cost for that? We are going to, is that all under this 294,000 and we're guaranteed? We're
Correct.
guaranteed it will never go above that.
Correct.
So that section 3.4 does not indicate that there is a limit to that. And I would like that reflected in there. Under 4.0, the first section, 4.1, it says that reimbursable costs included, but are not limited to administrative, operating, and mobility management call center services and costs to manage the project. I'm just not confident that our all-in, the cost to the county is $240,563 and no more. I don't have that confidence.
That's what a contract does, though. That
This
state locks it in,
agreement
yeah.
does not,
Okay, well then, we're a
So-
constitutional republic and you get to vote no.
okay.
Yeah,
It's not necessarily a joking matter, but for that reason, I have a lot of limitations.
Member Berkowitz,
regarding
if I
this.
may, that is the point of the IGA, and that's the point of why those numbers are explicitly outlined. It states that if, and it can go both ways, right? So if PACE experiences a spike in contract costs, a spike in call center costs, or something happens that theoretically could impact the price of Will County, we're locked in at a price not to exceed. It cannot go over that. At the same point, if we have an exponential increase in ridership, our costs could go up, and then it would require conversation and a potential amendment to this IGA. But the intention of this IGA is to truly lock in the cost for the next year. It's why we redo it every year.
Thank you.
County Board Member Butler, then Newquist.
Okay, so, reading through this, there's some things that, made sense. But I also wanted to just let everyone know that there is a transportation system in place and that people are having access to busing right now. We did have a committee, and we went over this for a year. We talked to a lot of township supervisors and we got their input. And there was a resolution that was put forth, and we didn't get it to the executive committee because we ran out of time. But I would have liked to seen at least some of that in this agreement. I just want to remind everybody that, we're not shorting anybody any bus rides or any transportation because it's available. What we have in Will County is a regional system. Some of the regions won't want to participate in this. They have a very good deal. They like their busing service. There are some areas that don't want any participation in a transportation system other than what they provide for their own townships. None of that's reflected here. And when we go into our responsibilities, there's a lot of open-ended, items here. So we're not really putting solid parameters and saying, this is what's going to happen. We're just saying, yeah, well, once we get this thing running and once we sign this agreement, we'll figure it out. And that's where we were a year ago. I did present a resolution. I would like to make a motion now to postpone this until that resolution could at least be addressed for the whole committee, and then they understand what options are available. Because the most important objection or problem that people had with the transportation system isn't even addressed in this agreement.
Okay, so you want to postpone the agreement with Pace? That's
Yeah.
what you're asking to postpone, or you, the next item?
I-
Because that's
I-
not your yeah, this isn't about the resolution. This is about the.
This is the
the
funding
contract.
of what we're going to
Yeah,
do
the funding,
together.
Yeah, okay, just
right?
want to make sure you were, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, this, where are we?
So, if we postpone it for another, we're going to
I want
let
actually
explain to you.
3 and 4
Okay.
to be postponed until
Well,
after.
we're gonna explain real quick that if we don't sign a contract, what happens with this program in general for everyone.
So again, this is a similar contract that has been approved year over year. We are currently operating within our contract that was approved by you all last year, right? And our terms for that contract ends on December 31st. So a postponement of this means that we would not be able to operate any dial-a-ride services in the month of January.
Oh, okay. In light of that, then I guess the next one, the Access Will County Plan.
Okay, why don't we come back
I'll
to that?
hold up
Let's
to
hold
that.
off.
Okay.
We are talking about the intergovernmental agreement then, so we will come back to you when we get to that number. So we have new County Board Member Newquist, and then we will return to Member Ogalla.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I want to return to what Member Hickey said a little while ago. This is for paratransit services, not general ridership. And paratransit services is so specialized. I mean, you need buses with wheelchair lifts. You need people that are trained in helping transport people. It's very, very different. And it is a lifeline to people that need these services. I mean, granted, I'm biased. My own mother was able to continue working for the last 5 years of her life when she was in a wheelchair because she was picked up by her own service. She ran it in Bloom Township, but basically the bus picked her up every day, brought her to work, picked her up, brought her home. And there are people out there that totally rely on these services that you can't get from an Uber, that you can't get from other, mass transit options. So I am strongly in favor of this. It's not perfect, but for many people, it's all they have. Thank you.
Okay, since now Mr. Balich, he hasn't spoken on this topic yet.
This is
Mr.
a-
Balich, yeah.
This is just a quick question. Our township signed a contract with Dial-A-Ride already, and so did Lockport Township. So I've been talking with Alex from Lockport Township. And so what's the difference? We're saying, we already signed a contract with them. You're saying if we don't sign it, it goes away. Well, we already signed it, so we're going to have it no matter what. We you're talking about Eastern Zone. We're in the Central Zone. And believe me, that's the next thing I'm for, but we're being discriminated against if the county pays for the Eastern Zone and not the Central Zone. But we won't go there yet. But what's going on when we signed a contract with them and so did Lockport? I don't know who else did, but I know Lockport and Homer signed. So are those invalid contracts?
Sorry, County Executive, turn the microphone off. If you look at the IGA itself, if you look at Exhibit B, which is on page 11 out of 12, it showcases the service area map. So our other partners that operate Dial-A-Ride, such as Homer Township, which is within Central Will, they already have an executed contract, right? They're set to operate for next year. This is the Will County contract. So this is for the townships that are outlined within the service area. So that includes Frankfurt, Green Garden, Moni, Crete, Wilmington, Florence, Wilton, Peatone, Will, Washington, Reed, Custer, and Wesley townships.
Eastern Will gets this contract, and Central Zone, which we're in, gets a different contract.
Correct.
And you're talking about Central Will paying for Eastern Will stuff. It's the same as paying for Cook County's garbage, right? Isn't that what you're saying?
No,
If
Central,
if the county's paying for it, then if the county pays for it, that means that everyone in the county pays for it. And unless you live in Eastern Zone, you don't get any benefit for it. Am I right?
at this point in time, that is correct.
Okay, so
That-
when you say it goes away, the only thing that goes away would be that the new program, but if you kept the same terms as the other program in Eastern Will, that wouldn't go away. Everybody would sign off on it and just have the exact same thing they had before. Is that correct?
No, if this IGA is not approved before January 1st, it would mean that there would be 13 townships whose residents that are seniors or with a disability would not have access to Dial-A-Ride services.
Well, if you took the old one that you had prior to this and just used that one, wouldn't that solve the problem? I don't know. I'm asking the question.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
confused.
so again, you guys are, I think right now what your confusion is this contract with the bigger concept of Access Will County, which we're looking to go county-wide. Right now, this contract, and you can interject if I'm saying this wrong, this contract is based on our current services that we have.
Correct.
And we have in the past 4 years expanded to 4 municipalities that did not have services. So if it's a little higher, it's because we have expanded to those areas, Braidwood, Wilmington, that have never had services in the past. So this is our contract, although it's county, we're just servicing the 13. You still are currently in Central dealing with, we do not have a relationship. While Will County Access is looking to have a relationship with you, this contract is just dealing with our current situation. All right? Okay? I don't know if that helps or not, but, okay. No, it's something, like I said, this is Dial-A-Ride. I think Chair or Member Ogalla mentioned it. This has been, we've had this for numerous years. We've expanded it now to out in Eastern Will County that have not had it before. And so it's not, the service isn't new, the expansion is new, but this contract is just for what the areas that will call us directly, Colin, and Colin helps them. Colin is our employee. No. All right. Okay. New speakers here too, and I'm always going to go to the new speakers first. So Member Pretzel.
Thank you, Madam Executive. Yeah, I feel like sometimes we lump 2 votes into one, and it causes some confusion and maybe a disservice to one or the other. But We're voting here on an IGA for paratransit service. And I think member Newquist said it well, this helps people in wheelchairs and people with special needs and disabilities who sometimes a family member can't help them because you need a lift or you need special assistance, or maybe both of them are elderly and you just need a younger set of hands. So I just want to be careful that we're not lumping these two together.
Yes, thank you. The discussion item is on the intergovernmental agreement. County Board Member Trenier. Is there a second to call the question? We motion to call the question by Trenier, seconded by Member Hickey. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Richmond. Williams. Dean Schlotman. Ogala. Pretzel. Butler. Newquist. Balich. Brooks. Winfrey. Bullock. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Hickey. Costa. Trenier. Van Dyne.
With 19 in the affirmative, we are going to call the question. We have a motion and a second on item number, we're on number 3 under Executive Committee. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Richmond. Williams. Dean Schlotman. Ogala. Pretzel.
Yes.
Butler. Newquist. Balich. Winfrey. I'm sorry, Brooks. Winfrey. Bullock. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Hickey. Costa. Trenier. Van Dyne.
Seventeen in the affirmative, the motion carries. Speaker Van Dyne.
Okay. Moving on to number 4 on our agenda, Resolution 24-340, authorizing the Access Will County Plan, and I would like to make that motion.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Freeman. County Board Member Butler.
Okay, motion to postpone number 4 until after we have had time to review what the ad hoc committee for Access Will County recommended to the executive committee.
We have a motion to postpone by Butler, seconded by Dean Schlotman. Any discussion on the postponement before we take a roll call? Question on the postponement or comment on the postponement? Okay, yep.
So for the new people, this is a 190-page document that I think, it would be beneficial for all of us to, we got it a year plus ago. I think we should all take a good look at it, understand what it is, and we can bring it back next month. But I believe that it's in everyone's best interest to refresh. I mean, I read through that whole document. I can't even tell you exactly how many pages it is, but all I know is it'll be some great reading for yourself when you're really, really bored. But I would encourage us to postpone it. Everybody take a good look at it, and then we move on from there. So that's all. Thank you.
County Board Member Hickey.
Thank you, County Executive. All due respect, Leader Richmond, it has been over a year, and I read the 190 pages when it was initially presented. I followed up with questions that I had, and I wasn't on the county board yet. I was just a member of the public. So if we have not had time in the 12 ensuing months to look at this document, what's been going on? Again, I just don't understand. I think that this is something that we owe the residents of Will County. I think that it should not matter what township you're in. You should have access to reliable transportation. Transportation systems like this make sure that people who otherwise wouldn't be able to can work, can pay their taxes, can be fully, taking part in society. It's really, there is a dignity that comes from being able to get back and forth to where you need to go on your own steam. So I would please implore all of you to really think about this. If you're going to postpone this, there are people out there who are counting on you. Thank you.
Member Ogalla.
Yeah, so I just wanted to clarify a couple things. And so Access Will County, as I said before, was brought forward to us by a presentation from Elaine Bottomley. And then we discussed it, we postponed it, we discussed it, and we put forward a resolution that the county board approved. And in that resolution, because what the concept is that here's the resolution, we want to go ahead and approve all the recommendations in the resolution that were not clearly defined as a recommendation. And the final recommendation is to provide bus service for everyone. That's a very open-ended recommendation in this document. So at that time, I was the chair of the county board, and I made a motion to amend the resolution.
County Board Member Ogalla, you're going to have time to talk. This is just on the postpone.
This is just on
Postponement. So if we don't, then we'll come back and talk to them.
Lo
Yeah,
siento.
this is on postponement. If you're going to talk about whether or not we're going to postpone.
But I think we
Yeah.
should postpone because of the fact that the other board, the new board members and Herb weren't here at the time that we made when we changed the resolution. The board voted in the majority to change the resolution to give authority to the county board to allow us to have input into what recommendations we approve rather than approving the whole thing. The board passed that with a majority vote, and then you vetoed it. So it makes sense for us to postpone it so that we can have that conversation, because the county board members need to remember, the county board sets the policy and procedures. We are a board, we're elected officials. We have rights and we have responsibilities. The county executive is a separate body. She's not part of our board. She just sits over this meeting, and then she puts forward the policies and procedures. She administers for that, and she's over a lot of different offices. So that's the difference here. I would like the county board to have responsibility and the authority to say yes or no, because if we don't do that, just like going back to number 3, where the paratransit agreement was changed dramatically over the last 3 years, things being moved around, and then the addition of the county paying for the costs of the townships that were involved. So Eastern Will County townships always paid. Southern Western Will County did not pay. They did not part of it. They chose not to be. And they did not go to the townships. I talked to the townships. They were not interested. They went to the municipalities. So we're changing the dynamics of what we've done and who authority it was to determine whether there was a dial-a-ride service or not. I'm not saying we shouldn't have dial-a-ride. I'm not saying that. I'm saying is that we should determine if we're going to pay for it and take over the responsibility. Because like Steve said, the fact is the county executive changed the intergovernmental agreement that the county board pays the township's portion that they never paid before. The townships paid their portion, and because of that, then townships like Homer and New Lenox and others that are not part of this dial-a-ride are paying for their own. So yes, it is a double payment. They're paying out of their taxes and they're paying from the county taxes. So that's what needs to be determined here, is that these changes have happened over the course of time with the intergovernmental agreement changing drastically without being any notification that it was changed from time to time. I agree that the Access Will County plan was out there, but we did pass the resolution, and I know that Member Richmond is going to make amendment to the resolution so that the county board can be included in this. The county board can make the decision as to how far within all the different recommendations in that 190-some page document are put forward or not. Because remember this, we are the ones that appropriate the funds. That's on us. It's not on the county executive. Therefore, it's our responsibility to determine how far we want to take the current dial-a-ride, which is for seniors and ADA. And I do support that. You could shake your head no if you like. That's fine. I do support that. I've always supported that. I don't support the fact that the townships have no skin in the game. They should pay a portion of their rider's responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. County Board Member Berkowitz and then Trinier.
My question,
Hold on, you don't have you on there. Ayana can't.
yeah, thank you. So Wheatland Township is not part of this plan. I'm wondering why.
We're voting on the postponement right now. So
Well,
we could go,
well,
we will go,
Had
we're going to
you-
vote on the postponement and then you can have
called the
questions.
question,
Yeah.
you ended discussion, and now the discussion is continued.
He made a motion to postpone. We are
the-
making a motion to, Julie, please listen to me. This is just on, we're not debating access Will County right now. We are debating whether or not we should postpone
You-
this vote. Yes.
Previous comments have been debating and
Well, I
have been
tried to
telling
focus
us
it
why
too,
this
yeah.
is.
But I'm
a
not bringing
plan
anyone
that
up here
should
for a
be-
postponement. I'm not bringing anyone up here to talk about these questions. This is about a postponement. If you'd like to have a question about
Okay.
what, if you want to make a statement.
Well, I'm going to share some information
Okay.
then. With a postponement, what I'd like to see coming forward and what I'm going to expect to see, and I won't vote for this unless I see it, I want to know, why isn't Wheatland Township part of this plan? Are my seniors out of, do they have to call PACE? Wheatland Township isn't part of this. If they call Colin, what do they get told? Oh, you need to call PACE? So until we can ask questions and get our questions answered, and hopefully fellow board members will allow us to ask questions, until that happens, I will not support this. And it isn't because I don't support our seniors or any individual that needs a ride. I do. But we have to make sure we understand what the plan is. And Wheatland Township is nowhere in this documentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a comment on the post? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. No, I already called Trinier. Sorry. No. County Board Member Trinier. Please, Mr. Butler, you're going to have your turn next.
I'm calling the question.
Okay, well, maybe you won't. Yeah. Ask a point of order question. Nothing about point of order.
Person who makes the motion.
Do this again. Why didn't you start speaking? Why do you play these games? Start speaking. Say, I'd like to speak right after I make the motion. On the postponement. Okay, so you did speak on the postponement. You explained why you wanted to postpone it. You explained why you were making the motion. You've already spoken. County Board Member Trinier.
Calling the question.
Is there a second to that? Seconded by Hickey. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. We are voting on the postponement.
Yes.
Whether or not we want to postpone. Oh, we're voting on whether we can call the question first. Then we'll vote on whether we can postpone. Thank you.
Richmond. Williams.
Yes.
Dean Schlottman. Pogella. Pretzel.
Yes.
Butler. Newquist. Balich. Brooks? Winfrey? Bullock? Logan? Freeman? Revis? Mitchell? Ortiz? Berkowitz? Hickey? Costa? Trainier?
Yes.
Van Dyne?
Yes.
Or 11.
With 13 in the affirmative, we do not have enough to call the question. County Board Member Butler. Then Revis. We are talking about the postponement. We are focused on,
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, whether we are postponing this, Will County access.
Thank you. So I just want to make it clear to everyone, a postponement is not a no. I, more than anyone, want this program to be done. I want to go through with this. It will be, the people will still have access to busing. This doesn't affect anyone else in the whole county except my district, basically. They will still get their services. All I'm saying is that some of the questions, some of the things that bothered or the troubles that our stakeholders were having are not addressed in this agreement. They are addressed in my resolution. So I'm just asking that everybody at least be allowed to read and go through my resolution, which it's a year of committee's work, and at least allow it to be read and give fair consideration. Nobody wants to not help our most vulnerable. We definitely want to do this, but we want to do it in a way that is fiscally responsible and attentive to their needs. Uber, for one, does have vehicles that are specialized in
To the
wheelchairs.
postponement.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. All right, so there are other services, and in my resolution, you will see that there are alternatives to this plan that could be better. And I would have liked to seen some of those reflected. So please, it's important that everybody get the information before we vote on it.
Okay, seeing no other comments, we're going to now vote on to postpone item number 24-340, authorizing access Will County plan.
Richmond. Williams. Dean Schlotman. Ocala. Pretzel.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Newquist. Balich. Brooks. Winfrey. Bullock. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz.
Postponement.
Hickey. Costa. Trainier. Van Dyne.
With 11 in the affirmative, the motion carries. Speaker Van Dyne. We're at number 4. We're back to the original. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. We're back to the original. We have a motion, a second out there for authorizing the Will County we have. I'm sorry, it was 11 in the affirmative. No, wait. Okay, so the motion to postpone failed. Sorry about that. So now we are back into, we have a motion and a second on authorizing access Will County plan. Well, we're going to have probably a discussion first. All right. So County Board Member Balich and then Richmond.
My problem is that Eastern Will County gets all the benefits and none of the rest of the county does. And in my township, we're paying somewhere around $100 per ride and we signed a contract because I've been talking with Alex in Lockport, and he signed a contract too. I don't know what his cost is, but our cost is $100 a ride. And then we're going to turn around and have to, $100 a ride. We have 17 people that use it out of 41,000 people. And it's the same 17, they use it all the time. So we didn't eliminate it. We signed a contract, but it's a heck of a lot of money. And when you start talking about other forms, other ways of transporting them, and would it be cheaper to get an Uber? Well, once you said you're going to start paying for Ubers, then everybody in the township is going to go, wow, we're going to use Uber. And then the cost would skyrocket. So that's why we signed the contract. I didn't like signing a contract that I'm going to have to pay $100 a ride. But at the same time, how are those people going to get around? So that's why I signed it. But when you really look at it, there's probably not any good solution for this stuff. Because whatever you do, it costs a ton of money. But I don't like the idea of the county, if the county wants to do the central zone and include it with the eastern zone, that's like doing it for free for us. I'll take it. I love it. I'd say, let's do it tomorrow. But that's not happening. And so that's why I'm against it. Because other people, it's like no taxation without representation in 1776. You know, we're going to pay for other people's stuff, and we're not going to get any benefit for it. So that's my only problem with it. And I don't know a solution. If I did, I would say it.
And just for clarifying, the Will County Access Plan is to expand countywide to work with all the townships. So again, we've started off small, so we can roll into, but there is planning. So that's what the plan is to expand so countywide. And this is unusual, but I recognize that this is because my name is attached to it. Well, I will tell you this, and
I get it. We need it. I'm not saying we don't need it.
I understand that, but this is what the plan does. Right now is a Homer Township supervisor, people who use your ride service can only go within a certain mile radius. They can only go about 8 miles out.
And they can go all the way to Plainfield now.
Well, then that could be why they pay for some of the services
They
extra.
pay $2 a ride.
But what I'm saying to you is there's a limited amount. This allows for someone in Homer Glen, if they have, or Homer Township, if they have a farther appointment, if they have to get to something outside the 8-mile radius, a 10-mile radius, maybe it is 10 now, that they can get it through these services. Townships are limited within theirs. Countywide means countywide. So just so you were clear, we are looking forward to having a conversation. Again, to get buy-in, it was starting off in certain areas that didn't have any services. So just so you were clear, we're not trying to rip off the people in Lockport Township or Homer Township. We are gradually doing it, and this is what part of the conversation is.
But part of the problem is if you go out to these other townships that don't have, they're not signing up for this because it costs too much money. And that's why they're not signing up. Because when they had all those meetings, all the townships came and said, yeah, let's do it because it's free. Then we don't got to pay for it out of the township.
And some townships have the ability, have a little more flexibility in their dollars than others. We have very small townships that do not have it. So again, that is a philosophical, probably a philosophical difference, whether we want as county board members to be able to help those smaller townships that do not have the ability and have a smaller tax rate, as opposed to our larger ones who would like their members, who would like their citizens to be able to go across the street. I just don't want people not to support this because it is an initiative of the county executive. So
I mean to interrupt you.
Yeah,
but
that's fine.
Why, like if I'm going to initiate a program, I'm going to do the whole program. And then.
Would you fund that for us immediately?
Would I fund it?
Would you fund it for us immediately?
I wouldn't start it if I couldn't get it funded.
Well, again, our priority 2 right now is funding folks who do not have any services. And we were able, because of this county board, we were able to.
The townships could have it if they would pay for it. That's
So-
that's the kicker here. It's like,
Yeah,
it's not,
as a county elected official too, I don't want to punish the residents because maybe it's not in their budget to do it. Maybe they don't have the tax, the tax ability to do it. So again, sometimes we get to vote on things, it's kind of like the state level. Sometimes you get to vote on things that just impact your district. Sometimes as a county board member, you have to look at the big picture.
Mike, I just,
I just
I look
understand,
at
and
it like this.
I
My
respect.
budget when I started there, it was 1.6 something, and now it's 1.3. So we cut 300,000 out of the levies, right? So then all of a sudden, if we change this stuff, we're going to have to find money to pay for Eastern Will County.
We are paying for Easter Will County.
No, when
Oh.
our
No, you're not
township
going to. No, no,
people
no.
will have to come up
No.
with the money.
No,
No?
yeah. Yeah,
With the county portion.
the county portion, yes, correct.
Anyway,
All right.
I think it,
Yeah, I do. Leader Richmond.
Thank you very much. I don't think there's anybody on this board that's against, helping people get to work, people with special needs getting to doctor's appointments, things like that. I think what it comes down to is after reading 24-340 and 23-313, I have a little bit of a challenge with, and I'm just going to read it. Now therefore be it resolved that the Will County Board accepts and approves the Access Will County Plan. Does that mean we approve every word in that 190-page document? That's the question. And I mentioned before about scope creep and that, fine, we're starting off at 60, then is it going to be 57, 55, 52? This is the same discussion that I had at our village board when they talked about bringing gambling in. And the question was, you're going to bring in 5 terminals. Where does it stop? Is it stop at 10? Are we going to have full-blown casinos in villages and that kind of stuff? The question that I have is, as a group, we approved Resolution 23-313. In there, what it did is, and everybody on this board should be very concerned about having your voice and representing your town and your townships and your districts and that. And I think if we go back to 23-313, we voted for it. It did get vetoed. But what it does is it keeps control in the county board's hands, and we can then make the best judgments and adjust accordingly based on the plan. I'm afraid that if we accept this resolution 24-340, that we're going to approve the whole Access Will County plan. So I'd like to make a motion that we go back to resolution 23-313, that language in there where we do some discussion, that we have the ability to review and make adjustments to the plan. So, I mean, if anybody has any questions, I'd like to make that motion that we go back to that.
Clarify your motion, sir.
Do I have to read the whole thing?
I need to know what your motion is, yeah, which I don't know what you're
All right, so
I don't know what you're referencing.
My motion is to amend to go back to resolution 23-313
What
in
is-
its entirety.
What is resolution 24? That
It's the Access Will County Plan, whereas in early 2022, Will County began evaluating.
Does everyone have a copy of that? So can you give us a copy? Because we learned last time that sometimes we don't have the actual copy, that we get confusion of what the amendment is. So if you can give me at least a copy of what you are referencing.
got
Is it this?
I've got my copy that I've highlighted. I mean,
Does someone like to does both sides have this copy of this amendment? Yeah. Well, why don't we wait to give everyone copies so we know what amendment that we are, yeah.
Chuck did distribute them all to everybody
Okay.
because Chuck and I did have a.
And this amendment was when?
Did we talk? We talked, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever put words in.
Resolution was in September.
This was the
It was
amended.
September 28th, 2023.
Can you give us a copy up here? So again, when we are clarified that, stand up. I stand up out.
What? I don't know. Is that the same?
There's no number on this. So what,
Is this the same one?
Yeah, I think so.
not even sure if this is the accurate one. Is there a number on it, sir? Oh, yours says, all right.
Okay, the resolution as it is here, it says we adopt and approve the Accessville County Plan. The resolution that we were given before, so I just gave mine away. Katie, can I have yours? It gives the board to use that plan. That plan as a guide, okay, subject to change. Plan we'll use this study as a guide by the county board to set policies and procedures to ensure the dial-a-ride service can be met. So we're using this as, we're asking for the right to use this as a planning document to make recommendations. So we should have to come back. Karen and Elaine should come and say, listen, we've looked at this and we'd like to do that. Like I said, she went and she changed the intergovernmental agreement. I didn't even go looking at it, but if you look at them over the last 3 years, the font has changed, so you can't look directly. She changed the orders of things around, so you lose it. But the big difference is that she put in that the county would pay for the right service relationship used to pay for. So when Steve's saying, this resolution,
into this format here.
this
What I was
resolution,
asked to do.
Doesn't talk about how it pays it, but it just sets it as a guide, so we don't have to.
so we are
Yeah,
not
some people
approving the
ask for copies.
recommendations of that book. This is saying we're looking at it as a guide.
We weren't recessed. No, you're right. We're not recessed, so, all right. Okay. We're back to you, Leader Richmond. You were making a motion. We were trying to come up with some wording that we thought we could live with, clearly not. So you are going back to the original 2023, was it 2023 resolution that everybody has a copy of? And so you are asking for that to be approved. Okay, so we have a motion to have the 2023 resolution seconded by Dean Schlotman. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion on Mr. Richmond's motion? So we have 3 speakers here. We'll start with Member Trenero.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I really have a huge problem with the sentence that says, whereas the proposals of these study will be used as a guide by the Will County Board to set policies and ensure improvements are made to enhance the dial-a-ride services. We can't do, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th whereas. We don't agree on pretty much anything on this board, and that would, to me, tells me really obviously that we would stall out on everything and anything if we tried as a board to manage the actual function of this program. What I will say is we do have the power to change anything you do. We have the power of the purse. We just approved the PACE contract for the next year. If she were to add some townships to that contract that this board did not agree with, we could just vote no. And then she couldn't move forward with that PACE contract as written. And I'm going to assume that she's a pretty smart county executive and that she would be discussing this with us before she brought the contract forward, even if it's just at the committee level. We have that ability right now. We could have approved that contract and said, but we'll only approve it if you remove Wilmington. We had that ability. We didn't do that, but we have that ability as a board. We have the power of the purse. We have the power to change anything that she tries to implement with this program, because everything that she would implement would require a contract or an amended contract with PACE. Our township just signed our contract with PACE. Our board voted on it. The supervisor signed it. Our rides cost us $12 a person. It still would be a nice savings to our township, but I'm sure if we got into some sort of financial problem at the county level, the townships would not want to lose their service if they were a part of the county program. And if the county came to them, they would probably pony up some money, because they're currently ponying it up if they have a program in their community, which a lot of the townships do, but not all of them do, and not all of them have in the past. And it does have a lot to do with their financial ability. Some townships just don't have it. You're under PTEL, you can only raise your levy a certain amount. This is not an inexpensive program. Our township pays $24,000 a year. But our bill for the month of December was $12 for each senior and or disabled individual that took that paratransit dial-a-ride. That is a lifeline, allowing them to live some sort of normal life. A program can't be managed I don't believe a program can be managed by a board. I think it needs to be managed by an individual. We have somebody in the mobility platform. We have Elaine that has brought us all this great information. It says in this resolution that you agree with the Will County Access Will County program. You just want to manage it. Well, I just don't believe 22 people should be managing a program. I think that's a job for a person. So if we believe in the program, then we should pass a clean resolution allowing the county executive to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. County Board Member Revis.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I represent on the board Plainfield, Joliet, Naperville, and then my border of my district touches the city of Aurora's border. This is significant because they are the 2, 3, and 4 biggest cities in Illinois outside of Chicago. And all that being said, it's very difficult for residents in my district to find localized or, regional public transit options. Pace currently runs a bus. It's the 559 route, I think, and it starts at 59 and 111th Street. And that leaves pretty much all of my district unavailable to access that line. Now, I know we're talking about a different program and things like that, but my point is we can't delay any further on bringing accessible public transportation to the residents in my district. I was willing to support this back when it came up first, but I understand there are other board members with concerns and, quite frankly, I'm struggling to keep up with what all those concerns are. I know we had a ad hoc committee that met for 15 some months trying to fix this. And, I would just hate to see that group's work not get adopted, because I think they did come to some consensus and they solved solutions for the stakeholders. So I'm not sure where we're at this point, but those are my thoughts. Thank you.
County Board Member Butler, then Newquist.
So this matter came up before the board and there were some problems. We didn't agree. The board approved a plan, the executive vetoed it. We created an ad hoc committee to address this problem. Normally, when an ad hoc committee is created, it is created for one purpose, and that is to make a recommendation. So yes, the committee was 12, 15 months, I'm not sure. We talked to as many people as we could. We finally came up with a consensus, but we have not had time to give that. So how does this get on the agenda before you have received that recommendation? I don't understand how this is even on the agenda. What was the purpose of an ad hoc committee? I mean, this should not even be before you unless the recommendation has been given. And we were a week from that happening. That's why this shouldn't even be on the agenda. I'm sorry.
County Board Member Newquist.
Thank you. I just want to say that I agree with what Member Trainier said. I voted against this revised or amended resolution last year because basically what we're saying in it is that we agree with the plan. We think it's a good guide. We want to proceed in that direction. And so then why not just approve the original plan? And that's why I agree. I'm in an area that's taking advantage, that's able to get the service. However, I thought the whole point of this was to eventually expand the service to the entire county. We got to start somewhere, you guys. Nothing we do is irrevocable. Let's just approve the thing and move forward. Thank you.
Rogala.
Thank you. So there's the difference in the resolutions. The resolution that's on our agenda today says that the county board agrees and approves with the Access Will County plan. That plan is the 190-some page document that we received. That document includes many, many, many recommendations. So if we adopt and approve it, that means we're adopting and approving all the recommendations made in that. And the final recommendation is we have a bus system for everybody to ride on, regardless of age. That is not cost effective. There's no way we can do that. That's why when we had come up with a revised resolution last year and it was passed by majority, and then it was vetoed. The difference is simply this: whereas the proposal of this study will be used as a guide by the county board to set policies. So everyone can say that we can control what happens with the executive or whatever. Did you know, because I don't think anybody knew, that the intergovernmental agreement was changed and that the townships would no longer be, who are part of this, will no longer be responsible for their portion of the ride, that the county board, the county would pay for their portion of the ride. I don't think anybody knew that until it happened, and it was in Access Will County, and I remember a presentation coming from the executive's office, and Elaine said to us that, yes, we are paying for it. Because I heard from my townships that they didn't have to pay for it anymore. So we asked Elaine, she said, yes, we are not responsible for paying anything anymore. So that's my whole thing, is that the township should have skin in the game so that we can keep this controlled. If you do not do that, the recommendations that you would be agreeing to in this 190-page document is open-ended to the extent that it would be available for anybody to take a ride, not having to be a senior, not having to be ADA. And therefore, that would be very costly. As I said, if you attended the committee of the whole, you saw MetroPace and the RTA are all concerned about the cost and that they don't have the money beyond to go into 26. They have a fiscal cliff. So my concern is if we do not set a standard in here to do that, then that becomes a problem. And I've sat through many, many budgets, and people are not willing to change the budget that the executive brings forward. And those dollars were put in the budget to pay the township's portion, and the county's paying for those townships. The other townships who are not part of it did not do it because they did not want to pay for it, because they didn't think it was needed to be in their area. It wasn't being used. I know that the other townships like Homer and New Lenox and them have their own, and the plan is to bring everybody together. I get that. I understand that. But I think that if you say we adopt and agree to this plan, you are never going to have a say in it, and it's just going to go to the full extent of whatever the county executive desires. So I would hope that you guys would take the vote yes to amend the resolution to give the county board the authority to set the policies that we would do, not to direct the program. Elaine and Colin do a great job at taking care of our residents and making sure they get where they need to go and get picked up. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying we need to make sure that we are able to set policy. Do we want to move from Eastern Will County and Southern Will County and now include Homer Township? That's a decision we should make. If you adopt this plan and agree to it, it's just going to happen.
County Board Member Freeman.
Thank you. So since this was vetoed, it takes a 2/3 vote, correct?
Entirely new resolution.
Okay.
Oh,
Because
so yeah, no, this
new
is,
board?
this is a new board, so no.
okay, I was just checking. Thank you.
County Board Member Berkowitz.
I've got a couple questions for Elaine. So regarding this agreement, what was I'll wait till you get up to the podium.
When you say this agreement, please specify that we're not talking about agreement right now. So what are you referencing?
Okay,
With the-
regarding the resolution
Okay.
and the procedure, I'd like to know with the townships, for example, Wheatland Township isn't part of this. What, can you tell me why?
Of course, Member Berkowitz. So when you say Wheatland Township wasn't a part of this, I'm assuming, and please provide the clarification, that you're saying that Wheatland Township was not one of the key listed out stakeholders in the working group that's listed on page 3.
Correct, I don't see it anywhere.
Perfect. Okay. I want to make sure that we're on the same page. Wheatland Township was not on our stakeholder list. You're really having me dig back into this because when we started on this and started establishing the stakeholders, that's over 2 years ago right now. And I do have a good memory. I'm good with details, but some of the finer things I'd have to really go back in my notes, and I'm not sure if I even have that written down. I will say, while Wheatland Township was not listed out as a stakeholder, their residents responded to our survey. Their opinions were reflected within this. They were not listed as a key stakeholder that received, like the preview of this is where we're at in the plan document before it goes out to additional public comment, but they were still given the opportunity to be engaged and involved.
Okay, so you said they did respond. How many people from Wheatland Township responded?
I'm not sure. I do have that raw aggregate data that was also shared with county board staff.
That was a small number, I think about 1,200. I'm not sure that responded. And so the fact that some Wheatland Township residents responded, that's pretty significant. So again, I'm wondering why Wheatland Township was not part of your stakeholder group, and it still isn't.
As I said, I do not 100% recall why we did not include Wheatland Township as a stakeholder for the working group.
Were there other people who made that decision? Who selected the stakeholders?
Stakeholders were selected in part by our consultant team and then myself as the project lead. We wanted to make sure that we had a really good representation of the cross section that exists within Will County, right? We know we have these great combinations of urban and rural and a diverse population truly. So I believe, and this is just me kind of going on the fly here, if you look at the townships that were within our stakeholder working group, we included all of the townships that were within our existing service area. And then we also included a couple of larger urban ones. So we included Joliet and Troy. And we also included, I believe, a couple that were more rural that weren't included within our program. So
Who are these, who is the consultant group? You said it was yourself with your consultant. Who are they?
the consultant that we utilized to complete this plan was VIA. If you look at the front cover of the plan, it says on the bottom right, powered by VIA and Muse. VIA is a international transportation company. They do these plans throughout the country, throughout the world. And then Muse was their sub-consultant that helped us with all of the branding, all the community engagement, all the things like that.
Yeah. Well, I've worked with consultants in the past, and I'm kind of, I'm surprised that the consultants didn't take the time to reach out to the county board members to get to know their counties and get some feedback, because we know our districts. We know their needs. So consultants didn't take that initiative.
We brought the presentation forward. The consultants were here at least once or twice to present on the plan, what the process was, and engage with you all.
I realize that, but did they ask for our input and did we give it? No, we did not. I can assure you, no one reached out to me. And I do know that at the township, a couple years ago, they were talking about this. They would like to be included in this plan. So that brings me forward to another confusion I have with this whole thing. So you determined for some reason that Wheatland Township
Julie, can I,
wasn't coming forward.
member,
No, stop.
Is this going to help with your decision?
It is going
Are you
to
trying
help,
okay,
Jennifer.
We've had
So
a year
let
and a
me
half of an
finish.
ad hoc committee.
You let other people talk.
I let you talk.
Finish.
Julie,
Okay,
yeah,
Elaine.
I've allowed a lot of
So
leeway here.
moving forward.
I'm going to
okay,
dismiss her. If this is your last
do
question.
Mute me.
I'm
You
not
do
going to mute you. I'm going
have
to
the
dismiss her.
ability to mute- You have muted.
We've had a
me
year
before.
and a half at an ad hoc committee to ask all these questions.
Jennifer,
And now
I
you're
go
going
to committee meetings.
well, good. Then why did
And
you
there
not
is
ask
proof
these?
that I do
Why
my
did you not
work.
ask these?
So please let me finish.
Can you answer me then? Why didn't you ask these?
I have.
Then
Go
why don't you
to
have the
me-
understanding of it?
People tell me I asked.
You
too
can
many
answer one more
questions,
question, then I'm
Jennifer.
dismissing her.
So I'm going to continue. So I'd like you to clarify this. somebody calls you from your stakeholder group and you assist them. What happens if somebody from Wheatland Township needs a ride and they call? What are they told?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that when we talk about this, and it's
No,
hard.
okay,
Member Burke,
I
please let me please answer your question. But I
Okay.
think I need to give a little bit of context because when we talk about this as a body, when I answer questions, I think that sometimes things get confused. The question you're asking is not related directly to this plan. The question you're asking is about a day-to-day service operations of mobility management. So right now, any given point in time, any resident of Will County, it doesn't matter if they're in Wheatland Township, doesn't matter if they're in Green Garden, it doesn't matter if they're in Joliet Township. They call and they say, hey, I'm having mobility issues. I'm trying to get transportation. I'm trying to get registered. Our mobility manager, Colin Phillips, takes the time and walks them through their options. He will speak with them regardless of where they live, as long as they are a Will County resident, and say, okay, well, you live in Wheatland Township. You do not qualify for our Access Will County program. You're not within that service area, but this is the service areas that exist within Wheatland Township. Your options are Ride DuPage, because I believe you guys are in with DuPage. Perfect, thank you. So Colin will then reference, hey, this is the process that we've outlined for Ride DuPage. This is what we believe the process is. You need to reach out to them. And Colin will then send them off. And typically, if it's a person that's really trying to get a next day ride or trying to really struggle through the process, Colin follows up and makes sure we're able to get registered. We're able to get your ride.
So we have a Will County taxpayer who calls Will County.
Yep.
Can't get the service and they're, well, call Pace or call this. And in Naperville, we have Ride Assist Naperville. It's a nonprofit. It's amazing. I'm one of their supporters and this is what they do. They make sure everybody gets to where they need to go. Great program. Been working with them for a long time. So got a taxpayer, calls up, not part of this intergovernment agreement.
She's answered that question already.
Okay, and can't do it. Now, you have somebody in the program and they say, I want to go from, my township and I need to go to a location in Wheatland Township. Do you tell them, no, Wheatland Township doesn't participate in this program?
She doesn't understand.
I'd be more than happy to sit down and walk through
No,
hypothetical
just
writing
want an
situations.
answer to the question.
There's caveats
I'm-
to that,
I'm
right? Because it depends, right? So if it is someone that's currently within our operating service area that calls as a eligible rider, there's a senior, 60 plus, or resident with disability that says, hey, I want to be picked up from Green Garden Township, my home, to be dropped off in Wheatland Township.
Yes.
Wheatland Township is within our service area. They can take that ride there.
And then when they need a ride back home,
They can take that.
you
yes.
come to Wheatland Township
Correct.
again,
Correct.
and you bring them back to Green Garden.
Correct.
That's ridiculous to me. That somebody who lives in Wheatland Township, you can't come and pick them up.
We're
and take
trying
them
to,
somewhere.
we're trying to do this. This is what Will County Access is
I would
doing.
love to have that conversation too.
I'm going to say that as a representative of my district, that I have not seen any efforts to include my residents and my most needy people and the taxpayers. So thank you.
Yeah. All right. We have a couple more comments, I think, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So next up, we had, I'm looking at numbers here. Member Hickey.
Hi, thank you, County Executive. I just wanted to say that I'm a little fuzzy on the timeline right now because a lot of things have happened in the year. But at some point in time, back when I was a trustee at Wheatland Township, we were encouraged to come forward and be part of this process. And our supervisor actually came and spoke at one of the meetings in support of this Access Will plan. And I'm hopeful that everyone can see the benefit in rolling this out. And I hope that we get to vote on it soon. Thank you very much.
County Board Member Trenier.
Yes, I just want to say that when this passed before with the quote-unquote majority vote, the Democrats were missing a board member who wanted to attend remotely. and that person was not allowed to participate. That is why it passed. I really want to see us just vote on a clean resolution, so I'm going to be a no on this.
County Board Member Mitchell.
When this was proposed, I did say that I was a former Wheatland Township trustee and that I like this program and we were not a part of it. However, my only issue was I would like to keep it with the seniors. I want it to just be for 65 and people with disabilities. I don't necessarily think that, 40-year-olds, able-bodied 40-year-olds who can take an Uber should be on this. I'm just saying, like, I would like to say expand it. We really wanted it because this was a good price point for our riders and for us as a township. So I like it. I just don't like the, anything beyond the expanding of it. That's all.
Anyone else? I'm going to go back to second time to Chair or Member Ogala.
Thank you. So many of these questions could have been asked at some other time, but we didn't know it was going to be on our agenda till it popped on after the executive committee last week. There are 700 and some thousand residents in Will County. We received 1,200 responses. I did ask for the raw data. They weren't sure if they had the raw data. Then they said they had the raw data. Then they couldn't send the raw data because they couldn't send the whole file. It was back and forth with all this different stuff. Of 1,200 residences, it would be amazing that of those 1,200, somebody from Wheatland actually did respond. I don't know if they did or didn't. But the point is, and Raquel basically said it, if you adopt this plan as it is, approve and adopt it per the resolution that is before you prior to the amendment that Jim brought forward, if you take that resolution, that plan with all the recommendations and that 190-some page document includes the ability to go and allow anybody to ride it. Don't have to be a senior. You don't have to be ADA. If we could definitely make sure it was seniors and ADA, that would be great. That's a good use of our county dollars to provide our seniors with rides and our those who have disabilities of whatever sort, or if you're just having you just had foot surgery and you're disabled, you can't drive your car for 3 months and you need a ride. That would be fine. That would be fine. The plan, the 190-some page document with many, many recommendations does not prevent that from happening at all. Not at all.
And so it's been brought up twice, so I'm going to have Mike speak.
Yeah, thank you so much for allowing the clarification. What you just voted on with the PACE IGA, that is the contract with PACE. It doesn't say that we're going to pick up 25-year-old kids coming home at 2 a.m, right? So those are all things that come back to the board. At any point in time, you are the legislative body. You can come and make changes. You can work on appropriation bills. You can say, hey, I want to put another 150 into this so we can pick up 25-year-olds so it's safer on the streets at 2 a.m. Those are decisions you can make. This is a planning document. Thank you.
What never came before you? I'm not a. Okay. I know.
Anyone takes the time to look at the intergovernmental agreement for the last 3-4 years, you will notice every year it's a different font size. The paragraphs are moved around, the definitions are here, then the definitions are there. It takes a long time to go through all those different things. So you can say that. It sounds nice. You say it with a smile. That doesn't prove anything to me. I've sat here, I've watched what has happened. That's what I'm saying, and that's why I think you guys should adopt the resolution that's being amended per Leader Richmond. That way we can set the policies as to whether we want to do that or not. If you just say you agree with the plan, you're never going to have a say. I guarantee you will never have a say.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to go back to 2023, was it? No, just near the year. I want to make sure. So we're going back to the 2023 resolution. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Richmond. Williams.
Dean Schlottman. O'Gala.
Yes.
Pretzel.
Yes.
Butler.
Yes.
Newquist. Balich. Brooks. Winfrey. Bullock. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Hickey.
No.
Costa. Trainier. Van Dyne. Mhm. 11 in the negative, the motion fails. Chair or Speaker Van Dyne, we are back to the original motion to authorize the access to Will County. We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? I think we have covered it all. I don't think there is anything else that is new that we need. If there's something new to add, please add it, but I think we have covered this. So,
No, I would just
No.
like to ask for a roll.
yeah, Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Richmond? Williams? Yes. Dean Schlottman? No. O'Gala?
No.
Pretzel?
No.
Butler? Newquist? Balich? Brooks?
Yeah.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Bullock? Logan? Freeman? Revis?
Yes.
Mitchell? Ortiz? Berkowitz? Hickey? Costa? Trainier?
Yes.
Van Dyne.
Yes.
12 in the affirmative, the motion carries. Hey, folks, too, if you're going to like say disparaging things, you may want to do a little quiet. Yeah. I mean, again, constitutional republic, we all have a right to vote how we want. We don't always agree with what our parties say. We understand that. We do understand that. Some do. Right.
All right, number 5 on our agenda, Resolution 24-341, authorizing schedule of regular county board and committee meetings for fiscal year 2025. And I would like to make that motion.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Costa. Any discussion on the schedule? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Richmond? Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, apologize.
Williams? Yes. Dean Schlottman? O'Gala?
No.
Pretzel?
Yes.
Butler? Newquist?
Yes.
Balich? Brooks?
Yeah.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Bullock? Logan? Freeman? Revis? Mitchell? Mitchell?
No.
No?
No.
Ortiz? Berkowitz? Hickey? Costa? Trainier? Van Dyne.
Yes.
Yep. 18 in the affirmative, the motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to the appointments by the county.
No, you have to please announce your next meeting.
Oh, I apologize. The next executive committee meeting is scheduled for Thursday, January 9th, 2025. Now moving on to the appointments by the county executive. Resolution 24-342, approving county executive appointments to the Joliet Regional Port District of Will County, and I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Freeman. In discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Richmond? Williams? Yes. Dean Schlottman?
Yes.
Gala? Pretzel?
Yes.
Butler?
Yes.
Newquist? Balich?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yeah.
Winfrey? Bullock? Logan?
Yes.
Freeman? Revis?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Ortiz? Berkowitz? Hickey? Costa? Trainer? Van Dyne?
Yes.
21 in the affirmative, the motion carries.
24-343, approving county executive appointments to the Board of Health of Will County, and I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Trinier. Madam, well, we have a comment here, yep. Leader Richmond?
This is on the Mental Health Board.
No, we're on the,
I-
we're on the Health Board.
I apologize then, sorry.
Is there a previous? Previous by Winfrey, seconded by Dean Schlosman, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
And lastly, 24-344, county executive appointments to the Community Mental Health Board of Will County, and I will make that motion.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Hickey. Leader Richmond.
Thank you. I see that we have two candidates up for the Mental Health Board, and I know Ella's done a great job the past 2 years. I did notice that this term goes till 2028. That'd be a 4-year term. That would be 6 years total. I thought before it was going to be a 2-year term, and I was kind of under the impression that it would flip between, one side of the aisle and the other side of the aisle every 2 years or that. Is that not the case?
I don't know where you got that understanding. No, we don't, technically, we don't have to have any county board member on it. You can, if you do, you can only have one according to state statute.
No.
And so it's,
Okay.
yeah.
I know she's done a great job, but I would like to see it be a little bit more fair, so to speak. And every 2 years, give somebody the opportunity.
They're 4 years. So
They're 4-year terms?
they're they're always 4 years terms. Again, it was stagnated because it was a brand new board, and that's how it was set up by state statute. So moving forward, everyone is being voted on for a 4-year term. So these are all the end, and I think we have probably one coming next month too. These are all the folks who have ended their 2-year terms.
Okay. Thank you.
Member O'Gala.
Thank you. So I didn't realize that. I thought some were 2 and some were 4. But because it was a new board, it was 2 and we were able to do that.
So yes, it's very common when new boards are created that the statutes provide that the first terms are staggered. So then subsequent terms, you're not replacing the entire board. So the initial term is 2 years, 4 years, and 3 years, and then a 4-year. But once they finish that initial term, the subsequent terms are all 4 years.
And then they still are staggered because the
Yeah,
initial
they'll
setup.
remain staggered because of the way they started, yes.
Okay. I do remember that beginning I didn't realize that it changed after the fact. That makes sense. So everyone isn't switching out at the same time because that makes it difficult for any board. But I do remember that when Member Costa was appointed, it was like, well, it's just a 2-year term. After that, somebody else could get appointed. And I think that people were looking forward to having that opportunity. Now we're looking at 6 years with Member Costa as a member here. And there can only be one board member. So that means 6 years, one person. And no diversity as far as party line on that committee.
Well, just so you know, we don't know when we don't, the members there, like, that's not one of the questions in regard. Yeah. So we have a motion and we have do you have a comment or you still, Mr. Speaker Van Dyne?
Thank you. My comment is this, you're right, it was mentioned that it is a brand-new board, and we are fortunate to have a county board member serving on this mental health board, and I believe to give Member Costa another 4 years of an opportunity to try to get this board to continue in the path that they are. I would really like to see her serve in that capacity. So thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Richmond? Williams? Dean Schlotman? O'Gala? Pretzel? Butler? Newquist? Balich? Brooks? Winfrey? Bullock? Logan? Freeman? Revis? Mitchell? Ortiz? Berkowitz? Hickey? Costa? Trainier? Van Dyne?
19 in the affirmative, the motion carries. At this time, thank you, Speaker. This time, we're going to move on to public comments relevant to matters under the jurisdiction of the county. We have 3 people who have signed up. If you'll come up here, state your name for the record. Just a reminder too, you have three minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I won't take that long. Just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Randy Irvin from State Representative Jason Bunning's office. I'm in the office in Dwight. I am his legislative liaison, which is just fancy word for saying I get to come out and meet the boards in our district. Although Will County, we have very small portion of your county. We have the Braidwood exit and a couple of their businesses and the village of Godly. Those are in our district, but we're happy to be here. And I just wanted to come. I was in the area. I wanted to visit the board, introduce myself. And if any of those areas or even anyone in the district, outside the district needs our help, reach out to us. We have no problem helping anybody out as we can. Just want to introduce myself and say thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And I will say Representative Bunting does a great job at reaching out to make sure we are included. And we are a small portion, so thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Madi. Mariana Perez is my legal name. Everybody knows me as Madi in Will County, Joliet. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Daniel Butler, to Julie Berkowitz, and to the many that spoke up against the transportation ad hoc issue, because it takes transparency. It takes people that respect our Constitution and civil rights to defend all of your constituents. And although some of you may be Republican or Democrat, at the end of the day, that doesn't matter, because when you are elected into this office, you are to serve the community at whole. And so I thank you and I appreciate you, because witnessing firsthand today, Jennifer, you're just a rude person filled with ego, and it's sad. It's sad. And being a person that's been through trauma, I seen the way you bully them. I seen your way of talking down, and it's just manipulation. And so I thank you for being strong. I am here today because in District 8, there are several families, over 9 families now, that have no proper water or sewer. Okay? We don't live in a third world country. We live in America. We deserve the right to have clean water and sewer. For the past 3 years, I've been reaching out to Mr. Brooks, who is my council person. Denise Winfrey, as of last year, I started reaching out to her because Mr. Brooks was elected out of office in 22. However, both of them have been non-responsive. I've called over and over. I've spoken with them. I've been told, I'll call you back. I'll call you back. I've taken families to a church on the east side by McDonough Street. I've went door to door with Sherry Williams. Thank you. Janet Diaz, who is not here, and I thank very much. Door to door to find these families so that they understand that this is more than just my home. This is several families that have no proper sewer, no water. Their sewers are running into the neighbor's yard with feces. I mean, it's horrible. They're tapping in illegally to other lines through other properties. And my representative, Ms. Winfrey, who is a career politician for our county, who has a huge ego, sent me a kind email last year in June, which I would make public, or July, I would say, of 23. And she said to me, unfortunately, we cannot help you. You're a single issue. And so therefore, good luck, but we cannot help fund your property because it's not a community problem. And I kindly responded back and said, can you please tell me the research you conducted to get this information? Because I promise you have it all wrong. We were told by Martha Soika that land use was going to send out mailers in the mail for our constituents to come out and attend meetings. We never got those mailers. We never did. And many families need water and sewer. And so Ms. Winfrey's never responded. I kept calling her. Herbert Burks would tell me, I talked to Denise. She's going to call you. Never called me. Never once called me. So you don't sit here and act like you represent all of your people, because you're not representing us all. We need water and sewer. You had $134 million of ARPA funding through the American Rescue Plan Act, and you chose, even though my property was on there as an approved project, you chose to take it off. You told me an advisory committee was going to allow you to do research. You never did it. You never did it, and we never got the help. And there's families living in homes today because they have children and they're on fixed incomes and they can't afford to move, so they buy water jugs to fill the water when they have no water. And I don't know if you guys know about radon, but there's over 5.5 radon levels. It is the highest levels of radon. Radon causes cancer. Over 165 people a year get diagnosed with cancer. We don't have to drink the water to consume it. The moment we turn on the water and it comes in the air, we breathe it in. You don't care about us. Because this is what I don't live in my home because I can't. It's not habitable. There's no water. There's no sewer. But there are families struggling, still living in them homes. And you've done nothing. And so then I was told.
Ma'am, you're at already.
I'm sorry. I just need another minute, please.
Well, we have to, so there are.
I was told by
we
Answer
have rules.
Advisory
Let me-
that they
let me- please
conducted.
Hold on, I'll give you time.
Thank you.
We
I will
have
wait.
rules, so we have rules. So that's why you get upset with me. We have rules. So we have a
I'm not
motion-
upset with you, ma'am. I'm
Okay.
hurt.
We have a motion to give additional time. Motion by County Board Member Berkowitz, seconded by Dean Schlotman. Madam Clerk, we have rules here, folks, and I would like to listen to her too, but don't look at me like I'm the bad guy for following your rules. I'm running a meeting, and there are rules to a meeting. Please well, because I'm tired of getting yelled at too.
Well,
for running a
Jennifer
meeting.
talks about
I'm
rules,
gonna
but
let you
a
talk.
moment
Please,
ago.
Madam Clerk, you're gonna
Okay.
be able to talk. I'm gonna let you, but
Okay.
we have to do this procedurally, okay? Because if I don't do it this time and do it another time, we'll get in trouble. So, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to allow this woman to continue.
Richmond? Williams? Dean Schlotman? O'Gala? Pretzel? Butler? Newquist? Balich? Brooks? Winfrey?
Stop with your comments.
Logan? Freeman? Revis? Mitchell? Ortiz? Berkowitz? Hickey? Costa? Trainier? Van Dyne?
Please continue.
Thank you. I am a woman of faith also, Mr. Brooks. And before I got up here, I speak only my truth, and I have proof to prove and back up what I'm sharing today. The advisory committee, I was told, was going to get this in front. Answer Anna Stinton, your project manager that you guys hired to do research, told me this project was on the ARPA approved list and it was going before the committee, you guys, and it never happened. So although a moment ago you talk about we have these consultants or project managers that we partner up with to do the research, that's just the blaming game. Blame them because it didn't happen. But it's your responsibility to get back to your constituents and know where the breakdown is and the root cause issues and how to help us. And that didn't happen. And so I saw that $2 million went to Fairmont Extension. $5 million went to South Fairmont. There's so many millions that went to Fairmont, but you missed our neighborhood. You missed District 8 where we needed water. So I was talking to the township on the 22nd of November. I spoke with Angel Contreras, who was there speaking on the behalf of Alicia, which I'm surprised because he's not even the township supervisor anymore. But he told me he met with some group of people here at the Will County over the issue, and that they've discovered that this is a regional issue now. It's not just a sole issue with my neighborhood and the 10 families in need of water and sewer, but now it's a regional issue that has to be looked at, and that now the collaboration is going to happen where the township and the county and Joliet is going to come together and try to fix this. But it's going to probably take another year. We don't have another year. We don't have another year. So when you're talking about serving the most vulnerable and the most needed, there are many people with mental health disabilities in my community. There are many senior citizens in my community. They don't have water. Kids don't have water. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but there are, through Medicaid, anybody with disabilities and certain senior citizens that have medical issues, they can get free transportation to and from their appointments wherever they need. This is provided through the Department of Human Services. The county doesn't have to eat it all. We just need to learn to tap into other resources that already have existing funds. Last but not least, in Homer Glen, there was the issue about the Bell Road expansion. And I know, Jennifer, you stated you got a document put in front of you and it was by error that you signed off on it. And so therefore you vetoed your own move of what you did. But that just proves the lack of and negligence of looking at everything properly, doing your own research. Just like Denise, you responded to that email. You are not in the custom, I should say, or consistent with doing proper research before making decisions. And you put things on the agenda and you expect people to make a vote because this is what we need. But what research are you really doing to get those facts? Because the issue that we have with a lack of water and sewer proves you don't do proper research. And I'm here to ask for what we are entitled to, and that's water and sewer. We do not live in a third world country. I work, my profession is HR, so I'm not a piece of crap person. I love God, I have a family, and I'm asking for anything any other American family would ask for. Thank you so much, kindly and respectfully. Bye.
Good afternoon. I'm Julie Connor. I live in Lockport Township, and I'm sorry, I know it's late, but I'm going to need extra time. Is that okay if I take extra time?
Take a motion to, I think we've already suspended the rules. Do we have to do it every time? Okay, is there a motion to suspend the rules? Motion by Dean Slotman, seconded by Richmond. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. And while this is going on, Julie, this is no disrespect for you. I have a family medical thing I'm attending to, so I'm putting Mr. Van Dyne here in the chair. I'm going to be able to stay for about 10 minutes, but just so you're aware.
I won't take that long.
Okay, just so you know.
Just over 3. Good morning. It's Julie Connor. I live in Lockport Township. Congratulations, Mr. Oxley. I went to school with your twins. Dale Butala wrote this and distributed it to the county board members. If you don't have it, because you're new, I will give it to you. It has my name in it 14 times, and he lied to this county board in writing. So that's why I need extra time. Because there are new county board members, I'm just going to give you a really simplified, quick lesson in property assessment on just vacant land because it's important of what they're doing. I hope for you don't mind I used your names. So there's a new subdivision. It has 6 vacant lots, all the same size, the same place, the same street. You all back up to the same thing. They're identical. 4 people own 1 lot each. 1 person owns 2 of them. Let's say that Mrs. Ogala, you own lot 1, Mrs. Dean Schlotman, you own lot 2, Mr. Pretzel, you own lot 3, and Mr. Van Dyne, you own lot 4. You receive your 2023 tax bills, and all 4 of you have the exact same assessment value with the same tax bill. It's $5,000. You're happy because you all talk to one another and you understand that you're assessed fairly and you love the lot that you just purchased. You wonder who owns the other 2 lots, so you decide to look it up on the Supervisor of Assessments website, and you find out that an investor owns the other 2, which is 1/3 of your street. For investment purposes, it's totally legal, totally fine, and that he has appealed his assessment and he won a huge discount. His tax bill is now $500. He received this just on asking the Board of Review. So now, you have the same lots, but you have completely different tax bills. Welcome to Fairmont. There are 614 vacant lots in Fairmont. And I know I've been here before, but this is really important. In 2023, the Lockport Township Assessor's Office conducted an equity study, which means that every vacant lot in this area was assessed the same. The tax bills on the same size lot, same size street, they're all equal. Immediately after this was done, the Board of Review, Susan McMillan, Sue Smith, and Ann Crickman, they reduced 1/3, 212 of these lots for one owner by 80%. This went from fair to unfair very quickly. The breakdown is in the packet that you just got. So I wanted you to see the numbers for yourself because Annette Parker and I know the numbers by heart. So at the top, this happens to be the exact lots that this 212 they owned. There are 413, this is all vacant property, so there's nothing on it. This $413 for a lot, $465 for a lot, $672 for a lot. This is what came out of the equity study for all 614 lots. Now, 400 of those people, they stayed at the top amounts. The one owner, he goes to the bottom. He has 10 properties at $18.56, 69 properties at $30.90. He has 95 properties that are $139.16. So for all 212 lots, he went up with a tax bill from $94,000 and change to $17,800. It's an 80% reduction. You can have 212 lots, you just need to pay for them. It gets worse. Everything in Fairmont gets worse. So this is the next sheet in your packet. I stated on October 17th that this letter was one of a kind. In the packet Mr. Butala sent you with my name in it, he told this county board that this letter was not one of a kind treatment, as it's commonplace for residential complaints and appeals to come before the board and PTAB to remain in effect until the next general assessment year. I did not say that lightly. I sent a FOIA of this exact document back to the office down the hall, the Supervisor of Assessment's office, and I asked how many of these went out. In your packet is the actual FOIA response. It says, attached is the only letter issued by the Supervisor of Assessment's office and/or the Board of Review articulating 2023 stipulations should remain in effect until 2027. That usually means it's one-of-a-kind treatment. Next, it gets worse because it's Fairmont. Of course it does. Mr. Butala mentions that he gave this discount to this person, this company, and I'm not blaming the company because they didn't reduce their own assessments. I'm blaming the government appointed positions. So he lists a state statute. Amazingly enough, in all of his pages, he did not copy and paste that state statute in. I'm going to read it for you. It's a reduced assessment of homestead property. And reduced assessment of homestead property in any county with fewer than 3 million inhabitants, the Board of Review lowers the assessment of a particular parcel on which a residence occupied by the owner is situated. Okay, this is 212 vacant pieces of property. Why would the Chief County Assessing Officer decide it's acceptable to use this state statute to give those extremely reduced rates for an additional 4 years when the Board of Review is an annual appeal process? It doesn't make any sense. Then he accuses me of misleading the board. I'm very careful about what I say to you. He said that I made you assume that the assessed value is frozen and will not increase over 4 years. I only had the 3 minutes, like I said, to explain it. And then he goes on to say, these assessments increased 11% from 2023 to 2024, the same as all other residential properties in Lockport Township. Okay, Mrs. Ogala, Mr. Pretzel, Mrs. Dean Schottman, and Mr. Van Dyne, it's now 2024, and you received a 10% increase to your assessment. A 10% increase on $5,000 is $500. So now you have to pay $5,500 to keep your vacant lot. This guy who got a discount on an identical vacant piece of property has to pay 10% on his $500 lot. So that's $50. So now I did not mislead you. I told you it was bad. Now it's worse. The gap is bigger. And this person gets on 212 other properties, and he gets it for 24, 25, 2026, and 2027 until the end of the quad year. And he's the only person in all of Will County that got this letter. And we don't understand why, and we keep asking why, and he keeps trying to defend the indefensible. I decided to actually attend today's meeting because there's a new situation that I'm investigating, and I don't like public speaking, I'm sorry. But this was just insane. It's called code enforcement violations. And I'm just going to tell you what it is, and then I'm going to bring people in from Fairmont next year to talk about it. Someone is driving around Fairmont documenting code complaints against the residents. And this person's redacted when I have the documents. So there have been, in this little tiny section of Lockport Township, it's just Fairmont, it's a little tiny section, 425 documented code violation complaints since 2016 in just a small section of Fairmont. I feel sorry for Will County land use employees because they don't want to do this to the residents. They don't want to be called out constantly harassing them. The residents have had to find contractors, buy dumpsters, hire landscapers, pay fines and fees, and some have had to retain attorneys. Some homeowners decided to sell and move because it was too expensive. So there are over 4,000 documents that I plan on reading on this case to find out what is going on. And I have a few requests. So I'm asking for the county board to consider voting on an independent audit. I am trying to secure grant funding to help offset the cost. I think this is the county office doing this down the hall, and everybody pays property taxes, and we want to know how many people are getting deals that aren't supposed to be getting them. This affects everyone's constituents in this room. I would also like, because we have asked how many times, why is this happening? I think it would be a good idea, I'm a visual learner, to bring out a GIS map of just a small section of Fairmont and put just the vacant land tax bills on there. So you can see how, and this is just one street. It is, all the lots are the same. It goes $30, $30, $30, $30, 400 and change, 400, 30, 400, 400, 400. This is all of Fairmont. These are all vacant lots. You can tell who the owner, well, I can tell who one of the owners is by looking at it. I'm sure Annette Parker and I, if you did that, we could go down and mark all 212 lots because we know that they're $18.56, $30.90, $57.24. We know that's one owner, and the rest, that's all the $400 lots. And this is vacant property. So you're basically letting, I actually became a CIAO this year. When he says I'm new, I am new. I'm a certified teacher. I did this because the targeting of my house, the math calculations that I still have not received from my house are under investigation by the Attorney General's PAC division. They actually denied me the math calculations for 3 years and told me it was a work product privilege. And I know now that I have this degree, they don't have a privilege. I know what it feels like to think you're being really targeted, and these people think they're being targeted. So I think we really need to get to the bottom of what is going on 3 blocks from my house, because they can assess you out of your property. I mean, they can. So we need to make sure that state practices and procedures are being followed. Thank you very much. I know I went over. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. All right. See no other public comment. We do not need an executive session today. Can I get a motion to recess until January 16th, 2025? Motion by Butler, seconded by Pretzel because he's stretching. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Have a good day.